Hello everyone, my name is Khurram Qureshi and welcome to Khurram Qureshi's podcast. Today we have a very interesting guest from the health and wellness industry, Dr. Romi Raina, ND. He's a naturopathic doctor and he's in our podcast today. Dr. Romi, thank you very much for coming in our podcast.
Well, thank you for having me here today. Very excited to be here.
Thank you. So please, let's start the conversation by telling us a little bit about yourself, your background, and your journey. How did you joining the naturopathic doctor?
Well, yeah, I am Canadian born and raised, though my parents have come to Canada from India and raised me here for the hopes of a better life. They grew up with certain struggles in their life and they were looking for something better for their future and the future of their family. And they came to Canada for that. And, you know, when I reflect on that part, I think they found it. Their mission was accomplished through the realization of my work and the development in my life. So I grew up in this area, in the Durham area mostly. Since 10 years old, I've been in Whitby, and I stayed here except for university. We went off to McMaster. But family values, traditional values were always instilled from that early age. And I was raised to be a part of this society and to contribute, to provide value to the society because it had provided so much for us at the same time. And in this way, I had always become interested in a helping profession. I couldn't imagine the idea of just the paycheck. You know, waking up in the morning, getting out of bed, leaving the house, leaving your family behind, just for a paycheck. There had to be something more. Of course, money is important, it's important for all of us, but there has to be something more to really motivate and inspire over the long run. And that is a helping profession. That relates to my religious and spiritual background. I practice the Sikh religion, Sikhism. And we have, very simple, we have three basic tenets. One is to speak the truth. The other is to earn an honest living. And thirdly is to always remember God.
Wonderful.
Yeah. And this is almost a universal kind of three tenets,
Correct.
right?
Correct.
But in earning an honest living and helping others, this is completely closely tied together.
Right.
And so that was always a foundation for me.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, in my own interests and in my own curiosities, I always was fascinated by people. I was always interested in people, learning about people, different life, different experiences, different personalities. And there's so much difference in diversity. No, we live in this truly wondrous world where full of, I don't know what the number is now, 7 billion, 7.5 billion, 8 billion, I'm not sure.
But it's keep getting better and growing.
Yeah, month by month. But no two person is the same.
Correct.
Right? And that is almost miraculous.
Yes.
But so what makes us different? What makes us similar and even the same? What makes us tick behind our eyes, into our mind? What makes us really tick? And this was also a bit of fascination to me. So the natural marriage of these two things, the fascination about people, what makes us work, and helping profession, comes healthcare. And that's how I knew from a very early age that I wanted to go into healthcare. Even though I didn't fully understand what that meant, I knew I wanted it.
Well, if you listen to your heart, your mind, and soul, your body will follow.
Yeah.
And that's very good to hear that you're born and raised in in Ajax, and Ajax is your home, and such a fortunate to be in Canada, and really nice to hear your story of the beginning. I also want to relate the fact like Sikh community is very respected in Canada, and also very generous with their distribution of the food at the Gurdwara, which is available for anyone. And as the Apple founder Steve Jobs said it on his early days when he had no money and nowhere to go for eat, he used to go to the Gurdwara and he looked forward to go on Sunday, walk there and have the meal there. So look at the importance of that generosity that make him believe on giving and all that, and then what he created. So very nice to hear the introduction.
Thank you, Khurram. I appreciate those words. Yeah. And you're reminding me, I've been in this community, a Durham community. I went to high school in Whitby, and now I live in Ajax. Yeah. And when you mentioned, Ajax, I have to share, I can remember in my high school and a little bit into university, when I would be here home, I would go biking, and I would bike along the waterfront from Whitby to Ajax. And I would always come to one part, and it was an Ajax waterfront. And it's, the nearby road is Paradise Road.
Okay.
And I would bike through that, and just that park, it felt like a paradise.
Okay.
In the summer and in the spring, full of green, lush, everything. And I would say, even at the age of 17, I would say, I want to live here.
Wow.
This is where I want to live. And you know what? That's where I live. I live just 700 meters north of that road.
Amazing, amazing. Yeah. I would love to come by on that Paradise Road, and we will just go for the coffee walk and treasure that spot. To be honest with you, I've been working quite hard in my business in past 19 years, and with that I've seen many ups and downs, obstacle, challenges, recession and all that. But what I'm coming to the realization with one of our client who was a very good person, but he was going through some stress with the business, couldn't be able to manage, and I realized mental health is a very serious issue, and we're going to talk about it today as well. Yeah. And life passed by so fast. So all the things that you wanted to do, you will do, but maybe not on the cost of your health. So health is the greatest asset we have, and health's conclusive portion which controls your body is your head and your brain. So if the brain and the mind is not happy, other organs will not be subjectively happy. So it is very important, keen that we talk about it. Also, we're going to discuss in today's podcast is South Asian taboo topics, and the other discussion is we usually don't discuss men's health in general, and because of that, in South Asian community, men are suffering internally, and we need to clear that fog, and we need to open up and rise up, and we tell everybody that it is okay to discuss besides your race or religion.
Yeah, that's right.
All men from anywhere in Canada or any race or religion needs to speak clearly and openly about their issues, so they can be heard and they can be understood and they can be resolved.
Yes.
Because they're not going to go away. And if you start to look on the social media, that is not the real help. It's a bits and pieces of information, but it's not maybe fit for you. So that's why we need professional doctors like yourself to assist us, and thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Very happy to talk about all of these things, especially the taboo topics, because these topics become so taboo that we start to think we're alone. And the fact is we're not. We are not alone.
Correct.
There are very many people who have the same, if not very similar, issues and problems going on. And by coming forward, discussing it, the solutions are there. They are. And yes, social media is not a appropriate source of information for healthcare and managing health. And there are so many reasons for that. One is individualized. This is a social media message that's going out to thousands, if not millions of people. It's not necessarily for you in your situation, which is unique. Two, social media runs on a different engine.
Correct.
The engine of the click, the engine of the being suddenly engaged. And so the information is to engage and to stimulate that attention. Is it to inform? Is it to educate? Is it to help to improve your individualized health? Is it to transmit accuracy? Not necessarily. Not necessarily. It's to get the wow factor. And so they're going to say the things and show the things for the wow factor. And that is different than what we're doing in the healthcare communication and in improving someone else's health.
Got it. Got it. Just to the relevancy of this topic, healthcare and wellness. What are the difference, if you want to highlight a bit?
So this is interesting because they relate to kind of sort of different patient that I'll call. Sometimes I'll call a patient, this is a wellness patient.
Oh, really?
Whereas everything else is healthcare.
Oh,
But
really?
there's a certain kind of patient that's a wellness patient. So first, healthcare. Healthcare, someone is coming because they have a health condition.
Okay.
It could be something like a migraine headaches. It could be because they're going to the washroom too much. It could be because they have bodily pain. It could be because they're not sleeping. Various different things. But the wellness patient actually comes in with these problems don't really exist. They might be there in a very minor way. Maybe such minor bodily pain, or they sleep, oh, some nights is not so good, most nights is fine. So this type of thing. Otherwise, they don't get headaches, this type of thing. They're actually healthy, but they understand that that's not a guarantee for the rest of the life. They understand that they have to participate in the maintenance of their wellness. And so they want to learn more and do more in order to contribute to their health and wellness over the long run. And so they're coming to me more for knowledge and information rather than a pill or a diet plan or something like that. And yes, those are to me very gratifying patients to work with. I love the example that they're showing. I really appreciate and I'm in awe of their health and how they maintained it. But still, they're a layperson. This could be an engineer, this could be a bus driver, this could be a teacher. That's not their line of work, that's not their expertise. And yet they have a strong interest and desire. So yeah, we're going to start working on things. We'll start to notice things. I'll take a very detailed review of, as I do with all my patients, but of their diet, of their lifestyle practices, of things that I might see in a preventative manner. I might know, for instance, that they have certain risk factors that could develop over the long run. How can we adjust for that now and protect against that now? I might see certain things that indicate, okay, based on minor symptoms, based on food intake, based on activity level, I can know that certain nutrients are deficient or becoming deficient, and we'll address those before it gets out of hand.
Got it.
So yeah, the wellness is the maintenance of good health, whereas healthcare is more the creation of good health.
Okay, so health sector can be like, you have a major problem, you want to resolve it. But when it gets to the resolution point, finish line, you want to maintain that for for the rest of your life kind of situation.
Maintain and maybe even enhance.
Enhance.
Yes, because you can say I have 7 out of 10 energy, 10 energy is very high. 7's pretty good, not bad, but can we see that become 9.5 energy or even the full 10 out of 10?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So that can be achievable, with the goal setting. Or
Goal
with the
setting,
patient.
and this we'll call health optimization.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. That's funny because in our industry, we do the business consulting, website design and all. We have search engine optimization and speed optimization. And those are challenges. So it is health optimization.
Yes.
And that's the real word that you use in the industry, you need to optimize the health.
Yes.
Okay.
That is. Yeah. We can always improve. And we should seek to improve.
That's the thing. Like, right now I'm in my late 40s and I'm realizing it. Like, eventually my health is going to get affected, and you can be able to put your body in autopilot and expect nothing is going to happen. Like, body parts age. So what is the protocol that we need to follow, or guidance? And when I see the doctor, like, my health practitioners and local family physician, they say, okay, your vitals are okay, your subjects are okay, you're good to go. Yeah, but I'm not feeling 100%. Sleeping wise, okay, but not energy wise, focus wise. So definitely, this is where the naturopathy steps in.
That's
And
right.
the doctors, like, look at the
That's right.
wellness and health optimization.
That's right. I don't ever want to put a negative impression on the medical system or the work that doctors do. They do excellent work, and it's a very hard field, a very challenging and demanding field. But they're not the only solution, and their model functions in a certain way. We're very lucky that we have a public health model, but it does mean that the time that a medical doctor can spend is very limited, and that the model of medicine there is designed for dealing with major issues, such that if we don't deal with this now, bad things are going to happen, or they are happening and we got to stop it. If we don't deal with this now, you're going to go to the hospital or worse. This is urgent, this is fatal, and this will progress worse and worse if it isn't dealt with now. Like, the house is fully on fire, and we need to pour the water on now. That's how that medical system. So if they don't see that degree of urgency, if they say, oh no, your house isn't on fire, the burner is on, sure, but the house isn't on fire, you're good. You're good. And you're thinking, but no, I feel hot. Like, I know that room is heating up.
Yes.
I know there's a problem there, but you're okay. I got people in my waiting room where their house is on fire, and I got to deal with them right now. So you're fine. Yes. So the way they gauge that health is that really reserved for the most urgent and serious situation, which obviously is needed, and obviously is important for the individual, and they're good at that. But what about all the other cases and all the other situations where the doctor starts to say, you're fine, you're normal, it's okay? And there are, a number of specific examples that I see on this topic. And there are a lot of reasons why that's not the only reason, actually. There are other reasons too, but this is where the naturopathic doctor comes in and says, yes, we can take the preventative model, we can take it's not full-blown disease yet, but it's heading in that direction. And let's just stop it now before then, now you're going to have to be on medication for life. Now you're going to need surgery. Now you might need to be hospitalized. Let's just avoid that entire picture and deal with it early. Why deal with it late?
Dr. Romi, please tell us and the audiences, how did you end up joining the naturopathic doctor career?
So that wasn't my intention in the beginning. Definitely I was interested in healthcare overall, a helping profession. And I started that journey at McMaster University. That's where I did my university studies. And I went to McMaster, I pursued my education there because it has such a reputation in healthcare and in medicine overall. And as soon as I got there, I started with the science faculty, and I got involved in anything that was related to healthcare. As early as I could get involved, I did, because my interest was so strong. And within the first year of university, I actually enrolled into the military.
Really?
Canadian Armed Forces as a reservist and under the medical branch. So I wanted to become a medic. I learned about it from a friend in class, and I became amazed right away. Literally, I had a friend in a physics class, and I sat beside him. He was wearing a Canadian Forces shirt. And I was actually so ignorant, even being born and raised in Canada, I didn't even know what that was. I said, what is that? What is Canadian Forces? And he said, what are you talking about? It's the Canadian Army. I said, oh, and he started to tell me all about, he was a reservist as well. He was in the medical branch. He was a medic, and he told me all about it. And I wasn't paying attention to the class at all. I was fully listening to him. And by the end of that class, the next day, I went to the recruiting center, and enrolled because what he described, the work that you can do as a medic, working in clinics as a medical assistant, working out of the back of an ambulance as a medical technician, was just an amazing opportunity to me. So I didn't hesitate, enrolled there right away. And that started at the end of my first year. By the time I was in second year university, I joined the emergency first response team. So the first team of its kind was founded at McMaster University many years ago, and their job is to respond to any medical emergency on campus.
Okay.
Reason being is because McMaster is a walking campus only. There's no cars on McMaster's campus.
Okay.
So for an ambulance to get somewhere on campus takes them a very long time.
Okay.
And so the emergency first response team works by foot or by bike.
Okay.
And they'll respond to those areas on campus much more quickly than the actual ambulance could get there. So they would respond and then providing some level of initial pre-hospital care. They would be responsible, the member of the emergency first response team would be responsible to call the ambulance and have them arrive, but at least that person is already receiving some level of care. I got involved with that. I became the program director there. And so that meant I was in and out of the hospitals. Through my work with the military, through my work with the emergency first response team, I was already a little bit on the edge, but a part of the healthcare community.
Right.
And I started to see things that I couldn't unsee. It became in my mind, and what I was seeing was two things. People were sick and not necessarily getting better. And the professionals were very unhappy. From what I could see, this is just from my observation at that time,
Sure.
I didn't see passion, inspiration, joy. I saw almost like a cloud. And I can remember I dropped someone off who had got injured at McMaster. We took them to the emergency room. We were able to take them through the security car rather than taking them through the ambulance. And so we just threw the security car, we put them in the back of the security car, took them to the emergency room. I stayed with them while they were waiting for the emergency care. And I was in the emergency room itself where all the bays are there, and I'm just sitting there. I think they forgot about me. The patient was being seen at that time. But I could see all the nurses working, all the doctors working, the patients, and just the almost the energy, the overall feeling. I thought to myself, do I really want to work in this environment? Is that really what I want? And you make decisions in your mind, you make decisions in your heart, you make decisions in your soul, and my heart and soul was saying no.
Wow.
Pretty strongly. So I knew there I had to pause, and I did. I paused. I thought I have to rethink where I'm going here. I finished up my science degree. I actually then enrolled into a new degree after that in anthropology.
Okay.
Yeah. So science, it was a life science degree, very much focused in biology. Great. Anthropology is the study of human nature that is non-biological, that is culture-based.
Really?
Yeah, so that's my fascination for people and what makes us work and what makes us tick was still there. That was definitely the foundation of everything. But now it's coming at a different angle.
Wow.
From what in our culture, what in the foundation of the society, what in those elements, what makes us tick, how are we influenced? And I loved my education there. In science, I can't say I loved it. I did it. I thought it was the right choice for me at the time. But anthropology, I didn't miss a class. I would read books twice sometimes.
Wow.
Because I just loved it. So I definitely found something that was working for me there. Then, as a result of that, I got involved with humanitarian trips. I got involved with a student organization called Global Youth Network, and they would do humanitarian trips during the month of May, 1 month long. Okay. You would raise money to attend, you would go there, partner with the community, and you would do various projects. Projects could vary from construction to healthcare.
Okay.
And one year I went to Brazil, and in the middle of Brazil, in the rainforest, and then another year in Guatemala. Mm-hmm. And there I started to get a different view of things. Mm-hmm. I was still had my skills as a medic from the Army, and I had some skills as part of the emergency first response team. So I still had that healthcare interest. And I would always take, when I went to Brazil, when I went to Guatemala, I would take a pretty huge first aid kit. Because I thought, it's going to happen. And we would do that. We would actually, in addition to our projects, I would do night walks where I would go into, we would go into the city, the nearest city, and we would just walk around at night, and there'd be homeless people there, and we would just sort of give them a first aid dressing, put a bandage on, clean a wound, this kind of thing. And I got to see that society, both in Brazil and in Guatemala. I really got to see those societies. And what I saw was the standard of living and health wasn't actually entirely bad. Yeah, there were bad examples, but in other cases, there were excellent examples. So maybe it wasn't our standard. It may not have been in the Western standard. Western standard says you should have 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, 2-car garage, 2 cars, all the toys and this and that, and a massive house, and mother and father, husband and wife should be working all day. The standard wasn't necessarily like that. No, they might have had a 2 or 3 bedroom house, very few possessions in the house, but everyone has a huge smile on their face. Exactly. In the back, which is a massive garden, community garden. Fresh fruit is growing all the time. They can just go back there and grab the most fresh. Everything's organic anyways. Right. And families are together for generations. And there's a joyfulness that I thought we are using some assumptions here that are not 100% correct. You're right. We are imposing what we think is right onto these people, and that's not 100% correct. In fact, we need to learn from these. We call these people third world or underdeveloped. No, maybe their industry isn't as powerful as in the U.S., sure, but the family is close together and happy and healthy. Yes. What can we learn from that? So this started to really shift me into a different direction. And I can remember I came back from that second trip in Guatemala, and it's like the universe sort of heard this change in me, and I got a call from a childhood friend who had enrolled in naturopathic medicine. And he said, Romi, I've been trying to call you. Where you been? I've been in Guatemala. He's like, I've been thinking about you so much because I'm in this program at the Naturopathic College, and this is the program for you. You've got to check it out. And I thought, wow, that's powerful. Okay, I will definitely check it out. And so I did. I went on the website right away, checked it out, and I read the principles of naturopathic medicine, which have some similarity with the regular medical principles, such as first do no harm. But then there's other things like docere, doctor as teacher. The word doctor comes from the Latin word docere, which means to teach.
Really? Yeah. I didn't know that.
Right? And I thought, well, that's different, isn't it? Docere. So the principle of education in healthcare. The principle of the healing power of nature. The principle of holism and root cause were all coming from naturopathic medicine. And I thought, wow, that's where, again, going to the mind, heart, soul decision making. The heart and soul were vibrating. They were resonating with this really strongly. And then I got another phone call or an email, maybe days later, and similar message. This is another person who was in the naturopathic program. He was a friend of mine from university, and he said, Romi, I've been thinking about you. You need to check this place out. Come, I'm gonna take you on a tour of the college. And I thought, well, I didn't even ask for this. How is this happening? So I went with him, and it's still someone I know today. Both of these gentlemen, they're both naturopathic doctors. I see them fairly regularly. I talk to them. And he took me to the college, gave me a tour out of his own kindness. And I knew what was being communicated to me at that time. The universe was opening this door, and now I just had to walk through it. Beautiful. So I came into the naturopathic college. I started the program. And there was every now and then maybe a little doubt would come in my mind. Romi, you just sort of made this decision just like that. You didn't do a full research and this and that. And I thought, it's okay. And one week I was having, it was in the beginning of the program. It's very stressful. It's a lot of study, a lot of curriculum, a lot of work. The class schedule, the exam schedule, it's intense. And I thought, and so in those moments you think twice about things. And I remember having that, and I was going to my classes that day. And first morning class was pharmacology. So in naturopathic medicine, we learn about medication and pharmacology. We have to. Almost all of our patients are taking some sort of medication. They have a medical doctor. We need to know what those drugs are, how they work, what they're for, what the side effects are. So we learn quite a lot in pharmacology. Okay. And I was in the pharmacology class, and I'm looking at the screen, and it's talking about a certain drug. Mm-hmm. And this drug has maybe one or two reasons you can give it. And this was true for not just that drug, but for subsequently, we were talking about 5-10 drugs that day. And for each of these drugs, there's one or two reasons, indications for the drug, why you would give it, what it treats. And then on the other slide, you would see all the side effects. So it might have one or two indications, but about 15 to 25 or 30 side effects. And I thought, wow, like you got to be careful there, right? Like, because like you might be treating this, but then you might create any one of those. So that's tricky. Okay, all right. And then the next class I had in the afternoon was a botanical medicine class. Okay. And in botanical medicine, I was starting to observe the opposite phenomenon. So there would be a botanical herb that we talk about for medicinal purposes, and it would show the reasons why you give it. And there could be 8, 9, 10, 12 different reasons. Okay. 10, 12 different indications, things that you would treat with this single herb. Okay. And then on the other slide, the list of side effects, 1 or 2. So it completely flipped. Now you had not 1 or 2 indications, you had 10, 12 indications. Now you didn't have 10 or 12 side effects, you had 1 or 2 side effects. And I thought, okay, I'd fully see why I'm here and why this is the medicine that makes sense for my approach. So that's how I got into naturopathic medicine, and from there the story just goes. And I've graduated from the Canadian College of Naturopathic Medicine back in 2007, and here I am today, nearing 20 years later, and happily working and helping people as a naturopathic doctor.
That's amazing. That's amazing to hear, how you transform and the universe heard you and, guide you. And this is the, laws of attraction, you can say. If you wanted anything in your life, you need to, say it loudly, not only I want it, but I have it. And once you say I have it, it starts to attract it towards you, and you eventually get it. So it is meant for you, but you have to ask it rightly.
Right.
So that is another thing that we need to also learn in our life too. How we perceive and ask the universe things, which is God and universe is pretty much like in similarity. But the thing is, the way we ask is actually matters too.
It does. Rather than chasing things, let's become a magnet for things.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Manifestation is a very important topic too. We will discuss later. If you have any information about it, we'd like to know. While we are at this topic, Dr. Romi, please highlight a little bit about your background in the military service, because it's interesting, you join the military and you service the military. And as Canadians, we never heard about the military activities through the civilians, because we pretty much are peaceful army, and we don't get involved in the wars and anything like that. So please highlight about your career, what you experienced there, what was the culture there, and what is your observation and suggestion for the new generation?
Well, thank you for that question, and I'm happy to talk about it. I joined the military, as I said, early on in my university as a reservist. So as a reservist, this is like a part-time job with full-time involvement. So it's very well suited for the student. During the school year, you will work 1 night a week at least, and 1 weekend out of the month, or maybe more, depending. So very adaptable to the student schedule in that way. And then in the summer break, from May to end of August, there's full-time employment available. This is where you do your training or other kind of job application. And for me, I was equally interested at that time in joining the military for the sense of adventure and learning different things, but much more interest came from the fact that I would be working as a medic. That was my primary motivation at that time, to learn medical skills and have an opportunity to apply them. I was in the military, Canadian Forces, for 18 years.
Really?
And yeah, and I released from the military, it's been maybe 7 or 8 years ago. So I was actually a naturopathic doctor while in the military as well. I didn't, and it was a difficult decision. I enjoyed it a lot. And really the only reason I left is because both my life responsibilities and my military responsibilities were increasing.
Okay.
I had advanced in the rank structure.
Okay.
In the military, I released as a warrant officer.
Really?
Yeah. So the warrant officer is the rank above the rank of sergeant.
Okay.
In the Canadian military, and so it's considered a senior rank, and with that come more accountability and more responsibilities, especially if you want to do that job well and with integrity, which is my interest. But my military responsibilities were increasing, and my life responsibilities were increasing. I had a third child come at that time, and I thought, I can't be in two places at once.
Exactly. And it becomes difficult, and as a responsible person, you have to set the bar, what you wanted to do, and be truthful about it.
That's right.
So,
I had to make a choice.
So I have to ask you the question. You say that you join us as a reservist. So when you're in the reserve, you still need to serve the time for the activity?
So this is good. The requirements are a little bit different. So there's you can leave at any time.
Okay.
There is a stipulation. So even when I released 8 years ago, 1 year after being released, they could call me back.
Okay.
Mandatorily. So this is to say, if there was a problem coming, and all of a sudden everyone released from the military because they saw the problem coming, no, you can't escape, you got to come back. That 1 year exists. Also, there's a 5-year window where I can come back and assume the same rank and come back and have the same role, more or less. So, but I let those things pass. So that's the only other real requirement. Other than that, there's no requirement for reservists to go overseas and have an operation or perform an operation like in a military setting. But they can volunteer for that, and many people I know did. I was in the Canadian Forces at the time where there was tours happening, an operation happening in Afghanistan.
Okay.
So I know a lot of people who went there. But it's not mandatory. There is a requirement to attend training, but this is like I said, 1 day a week, 1 weekend out of the month. And even that summer training, the full-time training, that's actually optional. So it's very flexible in that way, and it's really a great full-time job. And I do encourage people to consider it if they have those interests. In the military, there are different trades. I went into the medical trade.
Okay.
You can join, for instance, there's the maintainers, so they'll learn how to maintain the trucks and the equipment, and the engineers that will learn how to do certain things under that trade as well. So if you have certain interests in certain trades, you can pursue that through the military, learn about those trades, have the military experience. A couple of things I want to say about the military is it was such an adventure. There's so many things that I learned that I would not have learned in other places. There were so many situations where every day we were doing something different. I might be there from a 4-month contract, but virtually every day we're doing something different. I got to practice healthcare in both a pre-hospital setting, meaning working out of the back of an ambulance as a medic, or working in a clinical setting, kind of like a assistant to a nurse or assistant to a physician, seeing patients that way. So I got so much exposure on healthcare and medicine that way. And, there would be times where I would be in uniform, let's say, and I would be in a civilian setting, and people would say to me, "Oh, thank you for your service." But what I have to say is, I thank the military, and I thank the Canadian Forces for the opportunities it provided me, and all the things that I got to learn, all the things I got to see, all the people I got to meet, the relationships that have come from that. I still have many of those relationships today. And that was, when I did finally leave, that was the hardest part. It was the relationships and the camaraderie that you develop with people. there's a certain kind of military culture that if you're involved in the military, you understand.
Yeah.
And it creates so quickly such a camaraderie. It's so easy to make friends in the military setting, like nowhere else I've seen in society. So I've always been very thankful for that.
Amazing.
Yeah.
It's very entertaining to know and interesting to know same time that you serve in the military. But what were you doing in the military as a doctor or as a practitioner? Because we have no recent wars by Canada or anything like that. So please
Right.
highlight about it.
Right. So yes, I was in the medical service as a medical assistant in the Canadian Armed Forces Reserves, and there were not any active wars at that time, nor was it mandatory for me to attend an operational field. But what were we doing? So the main purpose of the reserves and the military, when not engaged in active wartime, is training. So we're constantly training our skills, refreshing our skills, learning our skills. That pertains to our soldiering skills and to our healthcare medical skills. But where the medical service is unique, so let's compare it. So the backbone of the military is the combat arms. The backbone of the army is the combat arms.
Okay.
That's the infantry,
Okay.
that's the artillery, that's the armored. Those are your three main
Okay.
combat arms. They do the fighting in the war setting.
Yeah.
So even during a non-war time, even they're training. They're making sure that their knowledge of their weapons is top level. And they do things called exercises, where it's almost like a theater of war. It's almost like using blank ammunitions, using general schemes and general maneuvers to practice attacks and practice defensive maneuvers, practice how to enter a building properly, even practice how to do target range with artillery shells. Those are called exercises. So the combat arms have to do that regularly to keep their bodies fit, to keep their minds aware, to practice new strategies and new tactics in the military warfighting scheme. But they get injured, even when they're practicing, because they're running in the field with their machine gun in their hand and going full speed. We practice as though it were war. So it means they're not eating properly, they're not sleeping properly, they're having heavy physical demands for many hours. So as an example, one training exercise could be that the armored vehicles take the infantry to a certain location in the field on a military base. They drop them off, then they have to walk all night, whether it's raining or whatever, and then get to a certain location and then simulate an attack at that location. But that's very physically demanding, and yes, people get hurt. People get hurt all the time. During training exercises, people can get minor injuries or actually very serious injuries. And then the medical is not practicing now. They're actually real-time responding to those issues. So yes, on the military, we do practice, we do patient simulations, we do deployment simulations, but then in support of exercises, we're actually providing the medical care just like we would as though it were a war. Now, we're not saying gunshot wounds because there's no bullets being fired,
Yes.
but broken bones, concussions, exposure injuries, burns, these are things we can see.
Wow.
And we have to be able to respond to that accordingly. So some of the most interesting work I've done has come in those circumstances where we were responding in the field. So in the field we have a relay of ambulances that would be set up that go to a unit medical station, which is a massive tent in the field, kind of like a mini clinic that's been made. And if someone gets injured, we bring them back there. We treat them as much as we can. If they need more care, then they're going to go to an actual hospital, base hospital, military hospital. I've also worked in those settings. So for the summer, between May to August, is the main time where, whether you're a regular force member or reservist member, people are on the bases, very active, very heavy training time because the weather suits it. And at that time, there is literally thousands and thousands of soldiers out there on the base, in the field, doing this kind of work. And the base hospital gets pretty busy.
Really?
From everything from poison ivy to cold and flu to a broken bone to heat stroke to concussion, like you name it. And so I've worked in that environment too, where I was working as an assistant to the physician. Someone would come in, they have even upset stomach, this kind of thing. They'd say, oh yeah, I have this issue, and I would do the intake, hear about what, maybe make some recommendations, then show it to the physician. The physician would say, okay, you can go ahead with that treatment. Or the physician might say, okay, I'm going to come in there, I got to do a couple of things here too. So in that way, I was able to work to provide healthcare, mainly in the context of training, but real healthcare to the soldiers that needed it.
Very good. Thank you for your service.
Oh yeah, well, thank you. Thank you for asking about it. And again, I'm always thankful for the opportunity that I had with the Canadian Forces.
Very good.
Yeah.
It is also good to know that if anybody wants to join as a reservist, they can be able to apply. Of course, 16 and above.
That's right.
Canadian citizen, and they can look into it. So I heard about it, but never met anybody who has done it. So good to know. And I will start to look for some opportunities. If I can be the reservist too, it will be served to Canada, and this is a good way to do it. And with the situation going with our neighbors right now, we don't know where we're going to end up, but it's good to prepare.
Good to prepare.
And be confident about our reservist and the military, and trust it and build it, because we don't have a huge army, but I think everyone needs to have military reserve training, as is mandated in many countries, including I think Singapore, Israel, and all that. Since those countries are small, they cannot have a big army, but the entire population is at least trained with the facilitation and the formal training, so they can be able to get engaged if needed.
I agree with a lot of that. And a big thing for me in the military, my experience there, was sure, I got to do the healthcare things that I spoke about, provide some pre-hospital healthcare or in-clinic healthcare, to be a part of that team. But at a certain point, I had saturated that experience because I'd gotten to naturopathic college. I'd actually graduated naturopathic college. Now I was seeing patients as a naturopathic doctor, yet I was still in the military. So the healthcare part of it became less interesting to me at a certain point along that journey. But what became very interesting to me in the military was leadership. That was a major source of inspiration for me. And that transition happened somewhere partway through my career in the military. As I said, I was there for 18 years, and I had the opportunity to do leadership training. I did a junior leadership course. I did a senior leadership course. I had gone into leadership ranks and senior leadership ranks, and I became actually fascinated by leadership. And that fascination still exists today.
Yes.
I find that to be very interesting, of how can you take these various parts, pieces of the puzzle, and bring them together in a coordinated, organized, efficient, and effective manner through leadership to create these disparate, useless pieces, but when they come together, it's like a symphony or an orchestration, and this thing that you bring together is functional and helpful, and it has value for the people that it's serving. And that process is through leadership, and that fascinates me. And I learned so much on leadership through my military experience, through formal training, but also just from experience itself. So the experiences that I would observe and the experiences that I would have. And you can learn so much from good leadership, and you can learn equally, maybe even more, from bad leadership too. But it's about your mindset, and how do you want to have that experience? Do you want to see the bad leader and say, this is horrible for me, and my life is just horrible right now? Or can you say, I can learn something from this? And if you can take that mindset, it can be actually a very valuable thing. And then also in my own experience, if I was first in a leadership position, I had a certain kind of method and attitude, how that has changed over the years, to be less about I am here and you're here, but more about we're here together. And how can we work together to make this function better, and for all of us to feel better about it.
Very good.
So kind of like a cooperative kind of methodology there.
Very good. And Dr. Romi, I think this is what love about you, allow me to say that, because mostly doctors are choosing the profession for different reasons, but you are choosing it to bring change in humanity. You want to serve humanity. You have a bigger scope of work, bigger scope of target to serve, not as a market wise, but as journal cure wise. And without having the leadership training or leadership structure, you can only go up to a certain degree. You cannot be able to expand universally. In order to serve the global stage, you got to think universally. Then you end up on a star level or the cloud level. And that level you need it in order to serve the world. But if you're thinking on a cloud level, you end up on a ceiling level. This is what I mentor to the students of mine. I do the mentoring for high school and the college students, by the way. So with that, it's a greater mindset can lead you on a greater scale, either your career, your business, your life goals, your health goals, your relationship goals. But without have that leadership mindset embedded and the direction, you cannot be able to achieve it. And I'm happy to know you, happy to serve you as my client too through our company DIGIPIX, that you have set the standards and examples for South Asian men to see you and follow you. And I would tell everyone to subscribe you and check out your the brand Aspire Natural Health on the website. And it's great that how you can be able to lead. And I'm happy to have you as my naturopathic doctor. You're curing me. Thank you. And you're curing my family too. So this is very helpful to us. So thank you very much.
You're very welcome, Khurram. It's been a pleasure working with you from a professional point of view with DIGIPIX, and the work that we've done there has been totally beyond my expectations. And the level of dedication and work and the output of the product. We launched that site back in December, and I've been getting, I didn't tell you this, but I've been getting more and more comments about it organically. Okay. So I was talking to someone from the industry, in the lab testing industry, and I was opening an account with them. She said, "Oh, by the way, I saw your website." And I really liked it. And I learned recently to ask, if someone says they like something about your work or what you're doing, you say, "What did you like about it?" It's an opportunity to learn. And I said, "Oh, well, what did you like about it?" And she gave some specific feedback there as to the content, the actual content, the look, the feel. First thing she said was the triangle. She said, "I just love that." So it was just nice to get that feedback. Yeah. And then earlier this week from a patient. Yes. "Oh, Dr. Raina, I really liked your website, by the way. Wow. And I really appreciate your blog articles." Yeah. So I was glad to hear that, just to know that what we're doing here has that impact. Yes. Because healthcare, in the way that I envision it, in the leadership mindset that I carry, I see healthcare as a ripple effect. Yes. Starting from the individual, and we've worked one-on-one. Correct. And I've been thankful for that. And you've also introduced me to your family so that I can work with them. And that ripple effect that we started with you as an individual is now spreading to the family. And I want to see that ripple effect go further in society. What is the next level beyond the family, beyond the individual, then family, and then it's the work, the corporation, the organization beyond that? Where do we, as an individual, get meaning in our life? Where do we get purpose in our life? It's definitely beyond the individual.
Exactly. And you cannot be able to bring change individually. And you got to understand it. In order to bring the change, you need direction, you need leadership, you need money, you need team, and you need resources. If you don't assemble it all, you cannot even run the house. How about you're going to run the country? That's or right. Win the war? That's right. What we are missing, Dr. Romi, right now, Canada is a great country. but we are missing the leadership. I'm not talking about the political leadership. I'm talking about the national leadership for the sense of direction. Where do we want to be? And with all the chaotic with the political situation, with the United States, how the treatment of Canadians were happening in the past 3 to 4 months and all that, I think we need to reassess and adjust our position that what are we doing? Why we are thinking dependency on anyone while the globe is open for us to serve. We got the second largest land mass in the world after Russia. And we are thinking less than Guatemala or something. Like, what is the matter with us? Like, you gotta think big. You got a big country, big land. You gotta think big economically. You gotta think with the big innovation and the leadership. In my opinion, as a consultant, where we can be able to bring the innovation in healthcare innovation sector industry. Insulin was developed by Canadians. In the space innovation, one of the extended arm in the discovery or some NASA's shuttle was made by Canadian. But if you see past 30 or 40 years, it seems like everything pauses. We become consumer society rather innovative society. We need to bring the innovation back. And without the innovation, you cannot be able to lead. You can maintain the good course of the lifestyle and the world economy, but you cannot be able to bring the change.
Yeah, the sky is the limit.
Yeah.
We have a lot of work to do, and we're capable of it. We have the capacity for hard work, and it's actually good for us. That provides meaning for our life. That's fulfilling for us. But that starts from somewhere. Yes, it starts with the individual.
Correct.
The individual has to have what they need in their personhood, in their health, in their mental health and physical health, in order to be able to take that capacity, to be able to take that workload. But we, as you say, and it's very correct, we cannot do that alone. Everybody needs help at some point or another, needs that support at some point or another. And if we're taking on the big work and the big project, the truly aspirational stuff, then we definitely need the support. No person is an island. And that's where the family comes, through the support of the family, through the togetherness, the love, even just the physical environment, the home that the family lives in needs to be healthy as well.
Correct.
And so if the individual is going to be healthy, they are resting on the healthy family. For instance, I often say that the most important room in the house is the kitchen. It's the room everybody uses.
You're right.
And we, although there's usually one boss in the kitchen.
You're right.
And so that's another reason why health comes from individual to family, is because we might be working on nutrition. But how are we going to get meaningful change in a nutritional point of view if we don't get the boss there as well?
Exactly.
Right? So involve the family.
It's a collective effort.
It's a collective effort.
Yeah.
But we literally are what we eat. Nutrition stands for a lot. And at the dinner table, yes, we're getting our nutritional food. We're also getting connection with our family, social time. And that kind of meaning as well is very important for us. And then, yes, great. So now we have a healthy body and mind. We have a healthy home environment, relationships with our family. With that, those two elements right there, we can carry mountains. We can face the world.
Yes.
But then we have to do that in an organized fashion with people from our community, our professional community, our community at large, in the corporation, in the organization, in the business realm. And now these people have to come together, and yet these people have to work together in a cooperative, healthy, socially healthy, physically healthy fashion in order to achieve the goals that you're talking about that are important, but don't come easy. And so that's why understanding the connection between the individual, family, and organization or corporation is how we create a healthy, not just a person, not just a family, but a healthy society and healthy Canada.
Nicely said. Couldn't say it better.
Okay.
So not only wish you all the best and count me in We are the part of it, and that's what this podcast is. So much production and time goes into it just to support you and this cause, because I think we need to care not only ourselves, but our homes, but our society, our communities. And what I will do it after this podcast is released, I'm going to ask the Work Hub owners in the family that who are sponsored for this, venue space for the podcast, to allow us to have an open workshop or
That'd be
open
great.
house
That'd be great.
for all their tenants and for all their clientele. And with the permission, I will forward that request and then invite everyone. And front foyer area is really good, and we can be able to hold it one weekend. And this is what I'm planning to do, because last year we have different struggles for your branding and image portfolio and everything online, but now it's getting along very well. We have next steps to do, and we are fully ready and ready to serve you on the next phase and level. And we need to take it from local to provincial level, and then next year like a national level, and within 2 years international, definitely. So certainly, it is the core foundation for the success of any business and a person. And when you don't have a good health, you don't have anything at all.
You're very right. Health is wealth, and that's not just a saying. That's real. That's reality. As I say, for all the good work, important work needs to be done. If we can't be physically present for that, if we can't be mentally present for that, if we cannot be emotionally present for that, then it's very hard to move forward. Yeah.
So Dr. Romi, tell us about what is the ND, naturopathic medicine, or naturopathic doctor is?
So that's a very good question, and I get this question a lot. What is naturopathic medicine? And so I've thought about that, and I want to talk about that specifically. What is naturopathic medicine? So I'm going to sort of say it, and then I'm going to explain it. Naturopathic medicine is a holistic form of primary care medicine that uses naturopathic therapeutics and patient education to alleviate symptoms and address the root cause of disease in order to elevate health and quality of life. So I actually said a lot right there.
You did. And I have to rewind on the video to listen to it again.
So I'm actually going to zoom into certain aspects of that and expand on it a little bit.
Sure.
Because there was a lot that was just said in that sentence. So first, I said it was holistic. Holistic means that we are looking at the big picture. That when I meet a patient, I have probably 100 questions I ask them. And I want to know about the chief concerns, the issues that they're facing, and I want to know the details of that. And I want to know about the foundations of health, or what I consider to be the foundations of health. No one symptom is insignificant. It all comes together to paint a detailed picture. If I took out the details from the Mona Lisa, we would think it was trash and rubbish. No, it's the details that give it the beauty and the essence and the totality. And it does the same in health. Those details complements what's going on and makes you understand why this is happening, how it's happening. And so all of those details are important in painting that beautiful picture. So that's holistic. Also holistic is the cause. Why is this happening? And that is the fundamental question that a naturopathic doctor will ask, is why? Almost like that annoying kid. Why? It's very much the same idea. But the why comes into cause. What is the root cause? And more realistically, what are the causal factors? So even root cause can be broken down into segments, understanding what the trigger was, what the preceding circumstances were, what the foundational causes are. And we want to understand all of those things in order to actually get to the path of healing. So that's holistic. Holistic is broad and it's deep. And it takes time to do those things, which we do. But also naturopathic medicine is primary care. Naturopathic doctors in Canada are trained as primary care healthcare providers. What is primary care? Primary care means that you can go to a naturopathic doctor and have your healthcare needs met. Does it mean that the naturopathic doctor can do everything? No. But you can have your needs met in that doctor, the naturopathic doctor, can assess your health and make the appropriate diagnosis and judgment. The judgment might be, oh no, you need to go to a specialist and engage in pharmacological treatment and management and therapies. That might be the assessment. But the naturopathic doctor, as a primary care practitioner, is trained and experienced to do that. So we're both holistic and in primary care. And yet we're different. We are using and utilizing naturopathic therapies. So that's another term I used, is naturopathic therapy or naturopathic therapeutics. And those are, first and foremost, the foundation of what we do comes from diet, nutrition. We literally are what we eat, and that needs to be acknowledged. It takes time to learn those things, and we learn about that and guide people on the right path that way. Botanical medicine is another kind of medicine we use. Nutritional supplements, so beyond food nutrition is nutritional supplements using higher doses of certain vitamins, minerals, amino acids, peptides, things like that. We also use homeopathic medicine. Naturopaths are also trained in acupuncture and traditional Chinese medicine. And then lastly is lifestyle medicine. So those are the main therapeutics we use and what we'd call the naturopathic therapeutics. And then is patient education. My job as a naturopathic doctor is to educate and empower. Just like the old saying goes, you can take a man to, and give them the fish and he'll eat for a day, or you can teach them how to fish and they'll eat for the rest of their life. Same thing here. The healthcare doesn't just come in the form of a pill, it comes in the form of practices as well. And that's what naturopathic medicine emphasizes. What are the practices? How do we maintain our mind and body for health? What is self-care? How do we effectively care for that in the long run? What is disease? What disease am I facing? How do we identify it? How do we treat it? And so all of that comes with learning and education. The number of times I've had a patient who said, I wish I learned that in high school. I would be so much more different today, and I agree with them. Or a patient who has a long-standing disease, let's say arthritis as an example, and I'll explain to them what the disease is, how it's working in the body, and why we're going to do certain treatments. And they'll say something along the lines of, I've had this disease for 20 years and I never knew that. No one ever told me that. And they feel as though they've been robbed in some way. And so very much, and the most gratifying part of my job is the educational piece where you see the light bulb go off and they go on a new course or new journey in their health and well-being. Also, naturopathic medicine is trying to do both things. One, we want to address symptoms. It's important. You know, people will criticize medicine. Oh, it's only symptom management. Well, symptom management is important. If we're not feeling well, we have a poor quality of life, we cannot do the things we need to do, we are too disrupted to carry on in our normal living, and it's just not a high quality form of life to live. And we do want to address those symptoms. Many natural treatments are effective in doing that. And so we want to just make sure that we address those things. But we don't stop there. Again, we're asking that question of why. We're pursuing the root cause. We actually want to see healing occur such that the symptoms alleviate, overall health improves, and we're stepping away from treatments such as maybe a botanical medicine or using a certain supplement over time. We can step away from those things and expect for the body to carry on normally. So we're trying to do both. On one hand, we want to treat the symptoms. On the other hand, we want to get to the cause and see things actually heal and improve. And the overall goal is to improve health along the way, not to make sacrifices on health along the way, which I fear sometimes happens when we get to this concept of a pill for every symptom. A pill for this symptom, a pill for that symptom, a pill for the other symptom, and then the side effect cascade starts, and then we're taking pills for those side effects. So overall health is not improving. I would be hard-pressed to think that a person who is taking 5 medications is more healthy than the person who's taking 0 or 1 medication. No, I don't think the increasing number of medication is a marker of good health. So in this way, we're not seeing the alleviation of symptoms improving overall health. We're seeing a certain sacrifice there, and we don't want to see that in naturopathic medicine. We want to see the alleviation of symptoms improving overall health, and then therefore quality of life, so that our quality of life with our family, with our community, with our friends, with our work, can be at such a level that now we can, what we were talking about before, take on the world. Do all the things that we know we need to do, the hard work, the important work for our communities, for our country.
Very good. Very nicely said. So I think you're more than a doctor. You're not only a doctor, but you're a healer. Is that the right word to use also?
I think it can be used. I'm open to the words that my patients like to use. So
and I'm your patient, by the way.
Yes.
So,
go.
I'm just saying that because half the education is making you not only feel better, but showing you the path of feeling better for the lifetime.
For the lifetime.
And this is a good way that you're doing it. But my brother, Khurram, who's helping us in production today, he is a good example of our family and friends, health listener and advisor, and I'm calling him as a healer. He has such a great heart, and I want you to talk to him, and I want you to see what we can be able to do, because your time is very precious and all that. But what also happen is we need some associates who can be able to help people listen and advise, what is a good thing to do. And then when it comes to the action, we can be able to bring it to the doctor and senior practitioners. But is the healer we need more in the subject to caring people, because especially men, we're not opening up. And who do they open? So one of the client that I was mentioning it about, he opens up really big time with my brother. He came for half an hour, spending 2 hours, and he opened up and all that. I was on the phone, and I realized that I couldn't be able to face that client directly because it is starting to affect me. But my brother handled it really well, so I'm thankful for him.
Yeah.
So,
well, healing. I hope I can be a healer. Naturopathic doctors are actually one of the few professionals, healthcare professionals in Ontario, that are legally allowed to use the title doctor. Okay. It's a protected title.
Okay.
Not anyone can just call themselves doctor.
Got it.
But yes, naturopathic doctors can. We've been legally granted that privilege. But even before that, that happened in maybe 2012. I might be wrong about that date, maybe. But before it had to be the term doctor of naturopathic medicine. Okay. Then it was allowed to be actually called the DR doctor. Oh. But before that, people would say, "Are you allowed to call yourself doctor?" I say, "You know what? I don't call myself anything, but my patients call me doctor." So I'm not stopping them, and they're looking for that.
They're looking for that.
Yeah, and what we're looking for now, I think, is healing. Healing on the individual level and on the broader level.
Correct.
Our world needs healing. Our communities need healing. Our country needs healing. Our relationships need healing. We are divided and at odds, and that needs healing too. We are in need of that.
I totally agree, and I think, Dr. Romi, we are on a path. And why I'm saying that we are on a path, because I'm coming from the business background and different religion and all that, and you are coming from different background and all that. And with that, we can echo it in our communities, in our region and province, and that's going to take time. But we are setting up the foundation for something big. Canada has so much offering. But if we don't set the stage and tell the world in a confident way, look what we did for ourselves, and we can help you, nobody's going to take us seriously. So we are good people. The issue is what I found with the Canadian businesses are, we're not is staging good. We're not marketing good. You're a good kid, but the fancy kid, by using some other information or plagiarism or Google and the GPT and all that, get good grades and all that, and the good kid who work ethically, responsibly, professionally, left behind by doing the ethical research, with reading through the books and the libraries and all that. We are that kind of kid. So we need to bring that kid to the, to the front end with the world pace and say we are fully ready. And that's only going to happen through one of us, that we take charge, we stand up on our ground strongly, and we say we are ready. Challenges on the business, we can do better. Challenges on the health, we can do better. Challenges on the innovation, we can do better. Energy sector too, we can do it better. So with this better, we can make the world better.
So interesting that from different sectors we're seeing similar problems.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's going to take those different solutions to address those problems.
Absolutely. You're fixing the people, and I'm fixing the companies. And each company have different problems. Just like, people have different problems individually, but now when they have employees, this is like a families. So once they're solo, they have a different problem, but when they have employees, they have a different problem.
Right.
When they have partnership, collaborators, distributors, vendors, they have a different problems. And then policy changes with the government and tariffs, those possesses a different problem.
Yep.
How do we handle that? And when you don't handle multitasking and multi-problem at the same time, you end up getting anxious, and then anxiety leads to depression. Depression leads to insomnia. Insomnia leads to mental health. And I've seen that in the recent example, and I'm telling you, this is terrifying.
Yeah.
So we need to address both issues, business-wise, career-wise, health and optimization, and health is the optimization too.
Well said. Couldn't have said it better myself.
Thank you.
Yeah.
What are the biggest misconceptions in the naturopathic industry, and how people can relate to it and ask you the right questions to get their health back?
So there are a lot of long-standing misconceptions about naturopathic medicine specifically, that even though naturopathic medicine has grown quite a lot in Canada, in Ontario over the past 20 years, quite a lot, still some of these misconceptions are there. So one of them that I think is the biggest one is that naturopathic medicine is not scientific, and it does not use evidence-based medicine. And that is simply not true. So yes, we are scientific. Anyone who enters into a naturopathic college has completed science courses, if not a science degree, at typically at an accredited university in Canada. There are other international students as well, but vast majority probably have graduated from University of Toronto, Western University, McMaster University like myself, and many of them, most of them, hold a science degree. So we are trained in science. We have learned the same scientific method and scientific principles that anyone else in the scientific applied science fields have learned. We are not abandoning those tenets of science we actually build on those tenets of science when we enter into the naturopathic medicine career. Is it a different aspect of the science? Yes. Are we looking at different tools within this application of science? Yes. But it's still at the core, it is science. And very specifically, we utilized evidence-based medicine. Does that tool need to improve and sharpen and expand? Yes, and it is. When I was in naturopathic college, 18, 20 years ago, close to that, when I started was 2004, so more than 20 years ago, when I would do my research and prepare for my studies, and I would research about certain therapeutics, there would be actually kind of very little evidence-based medicine research out there. Today, very different. very different. It has exploded in the amount of research data, scientific journals that have published researched articles about therapeutics and have built up the evidence in naturopathic medicine substantially. And we utilize that. We're happy to utilize that. We want more of that because it makes our job more effective and easier, but more effective. If I'm talking to a patient and they say, "Doc, I got these headaches. Every other day I'm getting a headache. Sometimes I can't even get out of my bed. It's so bad." Obviously, I want to help that person. I want to provide them with a reliable solution. So at first, to alleviate the symptom. Yeah, we're going to get to the root cause. Sure, that's fine. But I need to be able to deliver something to that person that I can say is reliable, that I can say to them with integrity and with the procedure of informed consent, which is a core practice in naturopathic medicine. I need to be able to say, this is what I'm going to give you, this is what it is, this is the dose, this is how long you need to take it for, this is when it's going to start working, this is the amount of benefit you're going to get. All of that comes through research and evidence-based medicine, which is rooted on science, which is the foundation of that is science. So no, in fact, naturopathic medicine is a form of science, and the evidence-based medicine growing out of naturopathic medicine is profound. So that's one misconception. The other almost equal misconception is that we are in opposition to or against the medical system. And that's not true either. We are not thinking one is better than the other. All of the players, all of the facets, all of the professionals in the healthcare system are valued and are important. And even in my own personal life, actually personal and professional, I rely on the medical system. Obviously, personally, we all do. Many of us do, and many of us have doctors, and we've gone to our doctors. If you have a family, then you went to the hospital to have the birthing process. For most people, at some level, that was done, and so we're very thankful for that. This is just a little story, but several years back, I was washing the dishes and I cut my finger. I hit an artery. Right? And so, great, no problem, not an issue. I would go to the hospital, get my stitches, come home, done with my day, and no issue whatsoever. Wow. But if you rewind the clock 75 years, 100 years, that could be the end right there. You're right. If that wasn't properly treated, the bleeding wouldn't stop. If it was an infection that spread into the body, it could be debilitating or a total game changer. Right. But yeah, no, modern medical science made it just an inconvenience. That's it. And it was something as little as a cut finger. So yeah, we're very thankful for that. And the medical system, and specifically the public healthcare system in Canada, we are very thankful for. Even professionally, my patients, if they have certain types of problems, I'm going to say, no, you need to get an MRI. You need to go to your doctor and get the MRI. We are reliant on the medical system for their healthcare. Yes. So no, we're not against that. We're complementary to that.
That's a key word you use.
Yes.
I'm going to relate that into the business sector, which can help people to digest that. You're not in the competition with the regular doctors or the health system. You are complementing them, and vice versa. Sometimes, the doctor's medicine are not working on the patient, so they may refer to the naturopathy doctor too. So with that, I always say to my client, never be afraid of your competition. Competition is telling you the business does exist and have a reason to make money. So if there is no competition, you should be scared, because your idea may never take off or may not work on a longer period of time. And that is why I only take on those businesses which has competition already exist. You don't want to be in the position, that unicorn position, that you're going to create something new. Because one of the client came into my office, You say, I want to do so much, but I think everything is invented in the world. And that was 15 years ago. And since 15 years, many things have been invented, as you know. So learn from the competition, embrace it, it does exist. It keeps you active. Imagine if you wake up and you got no competition to beat to, what else you're going to do? How else you're going to innovate? And if you don't innovate, you die. And that comes from your body cells, body molecular level. Old cells, molecules die, new one comes in, and that's a constant cycle in your body. Why don't you apply within your life? Why don't you apply within the business? And then you see, like, if there is no trial and error, and if there's no mistakes, and you learn from it and fix it, how else are you going to make a progress?
I think the progress comes from that. I think the best product comes through that competitive process. And I would say the same thing in healthcare. The best healthcare solutions for an individual comes through integration, through the cooperation of the different healthcare models and the different healthcare types. I would definitely say we want the best solutions for our patient. And every patient is individualized. Some of those solutions might come from medical side, some of them might come from naturopathic side, but we want all of those options on the table. And so very much we want to work in a complementary fashion, and being able to leverage, whether it's the medical system or the naturopathic medicine system, leveraging what you need for the right time, for the right purpose. Am I going to use a hammer to screw in a nail? No, we use a screwdriver there. Correct. So every purpose, every job has its specific tool. And if we have just 2 tools on the table, the amount of work we can do is limited. If we have 24 tools on the table, now we can do a lot of very refined work and for good outcome. So that's a very important one. We are not looking to oppose. We are looking to complement and integrate. And then the other misconception that I get about naturopathic medicine on the whole is that it's too expensive. So that is one feature of naturopathic medicine that sets us apart from the medical system, is that we're not covered under OHIP. It is an out-of-pocket expense for patients. Now, many patients I see have extended health benefits, and they utilize that for naturopathic care, which is great for them. It's a good use of that insurance coverage. But other than that, then it is a bit of an out-of-pocket expense. But when I hear the word expensive, when I hear the word cost, I immediately think of the word value and values. What do we value? We are going to spend money on what we value. Is there value that you're receiving for that spend of money? And I think when it comes to healthcare, and what I'm trying to do as a naturopathic doctor in my practice, which is to educate and empower, which is to stimulate long-term health and happiness, what is the dollar value of that?
There's none.
There is none.
Yeah, you can't put the dollar value on an absolute cure in happiness.
So in that way, is it too expensive, or is it something that's worth it? And I want people to see the other side of that. You know, we are, again, blessed to be in a public healthcare system. We're not accustomed to, when we see the doctor, to have to pay, even though we're getting very high value care and service. And I just think it's important for us to remember that when it comes to healthcare, that if there is a cost, that there might also be that value too.
Absolutely. Related to similar question surroundings, there's another sector of the healthcare facilitator are available for the public, but not generally everybody knows them or use them. Homeopathic. What is your wording on that, and how and what homeopathy can be able to work with naturopathy?
So homeopathic medicine is actually a form of medicine that naturopathic doctors are trained in.
Okay.
So naturopathic doctors I like to think about as being the umbrella. Okay. Overarching coverage in the complementary healthcare fields, in the natural healthcare therapeutics. So yes, under that umbrella of naturopathic medicine, you're going to find acupuncture. You're going to find homeopathic medicine. You're going to find botanical medicine. You're going to find nutritional. Yeah, you can see a nutritionist separately. You can go to an acupuncturist separately. You can see a herbalist separately. You can see a homeopathic practitioner separately. Let's keep in mind, though, each of those practitioners are not trained as primary care providers. So again, a primary care provider is a healthcare provider that can meet all your needs, that can do the full spectrum of assessment and say, we see a problem here, it needs to be treated in this way.
Okay.
So they're more like technicians than primary care providers.
Okay.
Number one. Also, they have the singular tool. So the homeopathic doctor or homeopathic practitioner, actually can't call them doctors in Ontario.
Correct.
Out of the acupuncturist, the herbalist, the nutritionist, and the homeopath, none of them can be called doctors in the province of Ontario, but a naturopathic doctor can be. Again, that is a reflection of the education and training that a naturopath receives. But the naturopathic doctor can use all of those tools, see the situation, select the appropriate tool for that issue or that concern, and move forward. Whereas the acupuncturist can only provide acupuncture.
Got it.
So from that point of view, it's different. But homeopathic medicine overall is something I use in practice.
Okay.
It is a natural medicine. All of the homeopathic remedies are derived out of natural medicines. And it is there to provide symptom relief. That is the main reason. We're using low doses of a natural substance to alleviate symptoms. And the medicine itself is inexpensive, and it can sometimes be very profound, like extremely profound in alleviating symptoms, and even beyond that. Or sometimes you still need to find the right remedy and discover the right approach. But either way, it's very safe. Because it's a low dose of a natural substance, it's a very safe and inexpensive form of medicine. So there are situations where I'll use homeopathy. There are situations where I won't.
Okay.
Because if I need something that is very reliable,
Yes.
I might not go to homeopathy.
Got it.
If I need something that's very safe, because maybe we're dealing with an infant or a pediatric, then I might use homeopathy, and it can be very useful in those cases. So it's just truly very useful to have different tools and a variety of different tools at our disposal to deal with a variety of different things that we see in our practice.
Very interesting, doctor, because I've been in this country for more than 25 years. Our family doctor or any other doctor never referred to any naturopathic doctor, chiropractor, homeopathy doctor, or anybody else. But I see that you're so receptive to accept the regular doctors and the OHIP system, embracing it, but also acknowledging and recommending the other medicine, herbal medicine, homeopathic medicine, and all that. And this is great. So you are the kind of one-stop shop for getting the final call and cure for your health.
You know, I try to be that. I really want to provide high integrity service. I want to see people get better and just provide the directions for the right pathway for them. So actually, a lot of times what I'm doing in office is I acted like a concierge.
Okay.
Patient comes in, they have this concern, and I actually guide them. I say,
Yes.
no, you need to go to your doctor.
Yes.
You should mention this, this, and this to your doctor.
Yes.
Ask these questions because we really want to see you get an MRI and then referral to a specialist or whatever the case may be. Healthcare is so tricky. And in fact, like I say, medical doctors are very busy and they're human.
You're right.
Any human makes mistakes. You put a load of 10 different things I have to do on my desk, all of a sudden my quality is going to drop a little bit. It will. I'm only human.
You're right.
If I can focus on one thing at one time, put 100% of my focus and attention there, the quality of service will be great.
Right.
But medical doctors, they're seeing you and then they have 15 people in their waiting room.
And they're obligated to.
They're obligated to.
Because if they
Yeah.
don't, like,
Yeah.
OHIP says that, like, what you're doing. And they just not only compensation by it, but they're also, like, serving wise too. So they're in the pressure.
They are a public service at the end of the day.
You're right.
So there is that pressure as well. So I don't, anyone can make a mistake. Anyone can have a human moment. So I don't ever speak negatively about the doctor. Also, I don't know what's going on in the four walls of their clinical interaction in their office space. I don't know. So I don't try to assume things. But I will try to guide patients and say, ask these things from your doctor, and we're looking for this kind of outcome, this kind of treatment, this kind of assessment. Healthcare is so complex, as I'm saying, that you do have to advocate for yourself. But how do you even advocate for yourself if you don't know what to look for and what to ask for? And that's where I provide that guidance. And sometimes patients are very surprised that they come to see me and I'll say, no, take the medication. They think I'm going to say, no, don't take any medication.
Really?
Medication are evil, but I don't know.
Okay.
I don't like belief-based medicine.
Okay.
Yes.
I think that's a keyword for
This
people to know.
keyword.
There is no assumptions. There is no beliefs.
No
It's
beliefs,
factual.
facts.
Okay.
Yeah, I do not like belief-based medicine. That hurts us in more than one ways. So I often see patients that believe in naturopathic medicine. Well, I don't think I would use naturopathic medicine in certain cases for my own health. I would go to the medical side because I know that naturopathic medicine is good for many things. It's very good for some things, but it's also not useful for other things. It's just not. If you have a fatal condition, you're going to need some medical support.
You're right.
If you have an emergency healthcare situation, broken bone, bleeding, infection, no, you're going to need medical support.
You're right.
And naturopathic medicine can assist there and have that, again, complementary, but it's not going to be the main driver.
Yeah.
Whereas, if you have pre-diabetes, go see your naturopath. They are going to provide the help on that one.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And Doctor, with that, I think we need to understand is, there is different hammer for different reasons.
Different hammer for different reasons.
There's
Yes,
an iron
the
hammer,
tools.
there's a copper hammer, there's a rubber hammer, and there's flat hammer and this and that. So we cannot be able to use one tool to fix our machinery.
Right.
And a human body is the best creation by God. So how do we expect one source of medicine knowledge can be able to cure you while all sources are available for you?
All sources. So this is where the belief of I'm going to only focus on the naturopathic medicine, forego everything else, is limiting. And the other part of that belief that I see in office is that I don't believe in medications. The concept of medications are evil. And I have to say that is a belief that can work against you and again limits you. Okay, so sure, like I said before, do I think that if you're on 5, 7, 10 medications that you're a healthy person? No, you've gone to this road of sick care, not health care. That happens. But if there's an infection going on, you need the antibiotic. If there is other serious chronic degenerative or fatal disease, yes, you need the medical interventions. Use them as that tool is appropriately used for that purpose, and maybe get some other supports along the way so that you don't have to be reliant on that for the rest of your life. Also, some medications are useful. They are just useful. If someone has uncontrollable hypertension and maybe medical naturopathic treatments aren't effective enough, then great, we should be almost thankful. We have these other options. We have these other tools. This very serious level of high blood pressure, there is a medication that can control it. Is it the perfect solution? Maybe it's not the perfect solution, but it's a useful solution. It's an effective solution. And so the belief of I only believe in naturopathic medicine, or the belief of or even the belief that I don't believe in naturopathic medicine, that's going to work again, is taking more options off your table. Let's just pursue the facts. Let's see, I have this risk factor for disease, I have pain, I have insomnia, I have some hormonal things going on. Well, in fact, naturopathic medicine can be very effective in treating those things as effectively as anything else and being more safe. So utilize it. Don't say I don't believe in it. Or no, your health has gone to such a level that if we don't take care of this, there's going to be 10 times more problems. Let's take care of it now, even though it is a medication you don't like it, but it is effective and it's going to save you in the long run. So let's use that. So I don't like the concept of belief-based medicine. Yeah, that's
That's a very key word. And with the belief-based medicine, but also believing in you and God
so.
is
This
also
is
important.
no, this okay. So this is there are limitations to that as well.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so it's a very important point here, and I'm so glad you're bringing this up because I don't want for my words to be misunderstood here.
Yes.
If you wake up in the morning and you say to yourself, life sucks, yeah, life is going to suck for you that day.
Yes.
If you carry the belief that I'm a victim, you're going to only see. There's a psychological concept called selection bias.
Okay.
And selection bias is that you can think to yourself, wow, everybody has a red car.
Yeah.
And you have the belief of everybody has a red car, and you're going to see so many red cars on the street.
You're right.
There's been no increase in red cars.
You're right.
It's stayed static level.
You're right.
But you're carrying this belief and you're
Yes.
seeing it more.
Yes.
So yeah, I actually don't believe in belief-based medicine, but beliefs are important
Yes.
in our mindset.
I think there are two words. There's
Yeah.
a belief and believe. So believing is very important. What you meant to say belief is like, the factual knowledge, and you're giving the factual cure as well, which you're backing it up by being a doctor. What I'm referring is believing. You gotta believe in the God especially, and you
That's
gotta
right.
believe on the practitioner
Yes.
or the consultant
Yeah.
who's going to give you the advice to cure you. That's a halfway battle.
It is.
Many people listen to you, everything, and even they take medication, but they're not believing in you. That I trust you. God give me the cure through this man or through this woman, and end up they're not getting cure. And you may say what is the matter or what's going wrong with that? So believing is a very powerful thing.
Having those spiritual and those healthy set of beliefs in us sets the stage for everything else. And if we don't have that, if we have that in a negative way, it sets the stage for something else.
Correct.
If you carry the identity that I'm sick and I'm only going to be sick, then that's the limitation of your world.
That's not only a limitation, but this is a worse mindset.
Worse mindset.
My brother has tried to give advice to some of the family members, and they listen, but they don't obey. Secondly, is they kind of say it's never going to cure us before they even try it. And he said, that's pathetic. That's sad. Like, I'm giving you the rightful advice, and I'm backing it up with my experience with the research and all that, and you don't take it. And some who do, which I take.
Mindset is free. It's just, you do have to adopt it, but it is free. And I've seen through patients, some people that have minor illnesses, or really there's no pathology, and they are miserable. They're miserable. And then some patients who have serious health concerns that are degenerative and progressing in the negative way, and their mindset is light and bright and positive and happy and joyful. And those people are the true warriors of the world. They are like heroes to me. I look up to those people because they have made a decision to adopt a mindset that is irrespective of what the label of the disease might be. And that is actually a level of health that we can all ascribe to.
Wonderful to know. Doctor, my next question to you is, how do you approach to a new patient?
So, yeah, a new patient is where I do the bulk of my work on that new patient interaction. So first and foremost, a new patient intake visit is 75 minutes long. This is in contrast to what we are seeing to the medical system. Because of the demands on the medical system, doctors spend on average about 7.5 minutes with a patient. And in the first visit, I'll spend 75 minutes.
Which is quite well.
Which is, yes, it is quite a bit of time. And in that time, we are doing a deep dive on what the chief concern is, or if there are multiple chief concerns, which there often are, we're getting a deep understanding of each of those. Oftentimes when you're seeing a medical doctor or a specialist, you can actually only talk about one concern at a time. which health doesn't often work that way. Health is holistic, it's integrated, things are interrelated. And so understanding all of those concerns helps you to understand that full interrelated picture. So that's actually important. Also in that 75-minute time, I want to understand the full history. What's the story for this person and this patient? And I want to have a conversation about the foundations of health. So these are 4 or 5 different features of health that we are considering as foundational. Sleep is foundational. Physical activity is foundational. What we eat is foundational. How our digestive tract is functioning is foundational. Stress is foundational. So I'm going to have conversations about each of those areas, because even though something in regards to sleep may not be the root cause, or something in regards to what we're eating or drinking may not be the chief concern, I might detect something there, identify something that is a vulnerability. And if we don't address that vulnerability of health, we're not going to see true healing. So I'm almost doing that scan there. After that 75-minute initial intake with a new patient, by the end of that visit, usually, yes, I'm providing initial treatment recommendations. But then I take that information, and it's a lot of information. So when you take that much data, 75 minutes versus 75 minutes amount of data, now I have to analyze it, put it through some level of assessment and analysis, which is what I do behind the scenes. After the visit is done, we are going to have probably another visit in a week or 2 time, be about a 45-minute visit to talk about my analysis. And what am I seeing on the big picture? Where's the beginning of our health journey? What's the middle? What's the end? How are we going to travel that journey? So we're talking about now a more of an overarching treatment plan, and to see how health improves along the way with that. And when we're talking about health, we're talking about symptoms, we're talking about root cause, and we're talking about long-term health and happiness. So that initial 75-minute is important.
Yes, and I can relate that. When you give me the time, you listen to me very carefully. First, I have to fill out the form online, and then you listen to me carefully, and then you will educate me very thoroughly, one-on-one. What is the plan would be on the second one, that you give me the diet plan, and the third one, and so on and so forth. So it's a very good way with the patient to connect with the doctor, and I felt very comfortable listening to you, and thank you that myself and my family is getting cured by you.
Well, thank you. I'm very happy to be able to work with you and your family. And one of the questions I always ask, I hope I don't forget if I do forget asking, but at the end of the visit, usually towards the end, I usually leave a little bit of time, and I'll ask 2 things. The related question, one, do you have any questions for me? Is there anything else that you wanted to talk about today that we didn't get to? Because I don't want anyone to feel as though they didn't get a chance to express what they needed to say. And so many times going into the medical system, the patient will say, I didn't even talk about this thing, and it was on my mind. I had to wait 3 months for this appointment, or 2 months for the appointment, and I was totally overwhelmed. I was so rushed, and I didn't get that, and now I have to wait another 2-3 months before I can finally get that question answered, and time is ticking. So creating space for that interaction, and making the patient feel valued in that time is of utmost importance.
Bingo. I think this is another key word, is that you make the patient feel comfortable to openness more, and that's where you are making a difference, that you not only stay focused on the medicine side, but also let me help you side. And people say, okay, these are the things that are happening, and this is where they're going to discuss a taboo topic, or some of the complexity of their sexual health and all that, which mainly men usually don't open, but it does exist, and if you don't talk about it, how are you going to fix it?
That's right.
So talking is first thing, openness to the doctor is second, and this is also the factual to doctor. When you go to the regular physician and your family doctor, there are about 5-6 patients, if not 10, already sitting, and their health condition doesn't look good. They're wearing masks and all that, or so look terrible and messy. And that makes you a little bit concerned too, if my case is important or not. But in your case, even if it's virtual, it feels welcoming. You hear it good, talk really good, and take notes properly and address it properly too. So thank you. And if anything get missed, we just email it to you.
That's right.
Like, that's another thing is too. Like, try to email your doctor and hear it in next 2 months. You reply very respectfully manner, and it's a very powerful way to connect. And it's a very blessing to have you.
Yeah, I do maintain direct email contact with my established patients, and once we have an initial intake, that direct contact is available, which is I think a refreshing change to what we typically see, where usually it's a gated access that we have to our doctors. And sometimes I even pick up the phone. It's me picking up the phone, not all the time, but sometimes. Yes. And it's interesting, patients that I have even been seeing for a long time, they'll say, "Oh, Dr. Raina, I wasn't expecting to hear from you," and they're so pleasantly surprised. And then we can just have the conversation, whatever we need to do, whether it's a quick question or whether we need to book another appointment or whatever it is, at least it's direct access. And even though I provide virtual care, it actually makes me more accessible. I'm more accessible on my schedule from a time point of view. And because I have that direct, non-gated access with my patients, either through phone or email.
And this is, I think, gold for the patient care. That, my doctor is available and approachable, and you're very responsive and responsible in a manner to do it. And as a consultant, I would encourage you to do it, because virtual care you're providing, but you end up not seeing the patient. So even for your health too, is good for having a little bit of a breakup from the routine, and just casually call the patient and maybe ask them let's meet for the coffee. I just wanted to see how you're doing, and just go out and meet up. It's a small gesture, but also build a strong bond, because they're your patient. And but also what happens for you, everyone asking doctor for all the help, but sometimes we need to offer the help to the doctor too. So I encourage you as a consultant, to just call some time to your the patients, and just ask them to meet for the coffee and out, or just go for a walk. So thank you.
Thank you for that.
Dr. Romi, my next question to you is, what conditions you commonly treat?
Yeah, so I don't have any kind of specialty per se. I see patients from all walks of life, all talks of life, various ages, various stages. But over the past 17, 18 years, whatever it's been, that I've been practicing, I have built a certain set of experience where I've dealt with certain things a lot, and almost organically, in a way, have developed a little bit more of a knowledge base, or even you can almost say expertise on certain areas. One is in digestive or in gut health. I see quite a lot of patients on this, and even it's kind of surprising to me, but I am a faculty member at the Canadian College of Naturopathic Medicine. I'm in the clinical faculty. I work at the teaching clinic, and students have been saying this to me. "Oh, Dr. Raina, you're the expert on gut health. You're the expert on digestive health." And I said, "Really? I didn't know that, but I can understand why they're saying that." I do a lot of work in it, and I have quite a lot that I ask about, and quite a lot of treatments and different types of way of analyzing the case and treatments that I provide when it comes to that. But it surprises me also because naturopathic medicine sort of sees the gut as the forefront of health and in the development of a lot of chronic disease. So I think a lot of naturopaths do work in it, but I do quite a bit. So whether it's digestive function, whether it's digestive inflammation, whether it's leaky gut, whether it's dysbiosis, whether it's certain foods not digesting well, or even stress that impacts digestive function. I look at it in various different ways, and I see a lot of patients. So I will do sometimes additional testing of the digestive tract in order to come to a more accurate diagnostic picture, and we'll do treatment based on that as well. So probably the most testing I do from a naturopathic point of view is for digestive health. So I do quite a bit of work in that. I also do quite a bit of work in chronic inflammation, but this actually relates to digestive health. This actually relates to, more specifically, gut health.
Explain the chronic inflammation, you say?
Yeah. So inflammation is something we hear quite a lot in the context of health. In fact, inflammation is both a good thing and a bad thing for the body. If we didn't have the inflammatory response, we wouldn't be able to heal our tissues. A wound couldn't heal. If we had a cut, it would never heal up if we didn't have inflammation. If we had a sprain or a strain, it would never heal up if we didn't have inflammation. But chronic inflammation results in, over time, tissue damage, results in pain, and results in inability to have proper function of that body part. And that can be something, chronic inflammation is ongoing, it's perpetuating, it's going on and on and on. It's not fixing the issue, it's constantly in this state of trying to fix it, but actually not. And in the state of trying to fix it, like I say, it's causing this inability to function properly, chronic pain, and maybe even damage to the tissues. So the causes of chronic inflammation can be quite diverse. And this is where I say chronic inflammation can lead to gut health, can connect to gut health. Gut health can lead to, or the disruption of gut health can lead to chronic inflammation. So this is where we're also hearing about the term gut health. We're hearing about the term leaky gut. Leaky gut, so let's think about the gut as a barrier in the body. We're constantly putting food and drink into our digestive system, eating through the day, drinking various beverages through the day. It goes into our digestive system, and at some point, the digestive system acts like a gate or a barrier. Will this food substance be allowed into the bloodstream? Yes or no? If it's good for us, if it's nutrition, if it's energy, then yes, it should be allowed in. But if it's toxic, if it's like a bacteria or a virus or something that is going to harm the body, then no, that gate has to be shut at the level of the gut. So there's this critical decision being made at that point in our body, at the gut lining, to say, you are good, you are allowed in, you are bad, you need to be eliminated. And if that decision is made incorrectly, such that the good thing is not allowed in, or the bad thing is allowed in, now we're starting to contaminate the body.
Exactly.
Yeah. And this is leaky gut. Leaky gut is this decision of what is good and being allowed in, and what is bad is being allowed to pass. That decision is being done incorrectly. So now something comes into the bloodstream past the gut lining because of leaky gut, and it activates the immune system. The immune system says, this shouldn't be here, this is a negative thing, and we need to mount a response on this thing. Inflammation.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
So how can we regain the gut integrity, rebuild the gut lining, such that we heal up the leaky gut? Is a major way of stopping the flood of toxin or microbial substances into the bloodstream that's perpetuating chronic inflammation. So by working on the gut, by extension on that, I work on chronic inflammation, which involves a lot of different conditions. And I also work in areas of hormones. So hormones are chemical messengers in the body that change bodily function and response. We have the sexual hormones. Testosterone is the main one for men. Estrogen and progesterone is the main one for females. But we have all these other hormones that are not non-sexual. Thyroid hormone, cortisol hormone, that are working in men and women. And if those hormones are thrown off, it greatly affects our life. The thyroid hormone is a great example. It's a hormone that enters into almost every single cell of the human body and provides energy. And if that is declined, if that's affected, the whole system starts to shut down slowly. And so a lot of an area in hormones where I work, because I do a lot of work in hormones, is testing and treating thyroid disorder and testing and treating dysregulations with cortisol hormone, which is another major hormone that is in men and women, and it helps to have our body function in the face of daily stress, day in, day out stress. Every day we have some little minor stresses, big and small, and it's cortisol hormone that's going to give us the bodily resources and energy to respond to those stresses without it being hard on us. If we have an adequate amount of cortisol, it means we can roll with these stresses, deal with the stress, move on to the next thing. If we have too little cortisol, then we hardly can even get the response. It's so, we actually feel pain in our body, we'll feel low energy in our body, lack of motivation in our body, because we're just not getting the drive, the bodily resources, the mental resources to deal with that stress. And if we have too much cortisol, then it's like we're hyper. We are activated by stress by the smallest thing to the point where we can't even respond properly. It's too much for us, overwhelming. Okay. So cortisol needs to be in a happy middle zone. And so that's another major hormone that I work with because hormonal health is a major part of my practice as well.
Very good. Related to the gut health, there's a very common phenomena going on on the social media, like detoxification. What is your take on that? And is it necessarily to do it once a year or something like it?
So detox is often not a bad idea. It's often useful, however, not always. So there are some health conditions, people who have serious health concerns and issues, their body may not be resilient enough to do a detox. Also the organs of detox. So we have our lymphatic system, our liver, our kidneys, and our skin. Those are our main organs of detox. If there's an impairment in any one of those organs, then a detox may not be a good idea. It might put too much of a burden on that organ of detox. So there are some situations where detox is not a good idea, or if it's going to be done, it should be done in a very gentle way. But for most people, yes, we live in this world where we are constantly bombarded by synthetic chemicals. And if allowed to accumulate and overly accumulate in the body, it becomes toxic. Sure. And we need to be able to flush those things out and essentially eliminate them and detox them. Okay. But that doesn't always happen automatically, especially if we're being overly bombarded. Okay. But detox isn't a matter of taking pills. To substitute one pill for another pill, and now we call it a detox. That is the icing on the cake. No, the foundation of the cake needs to be made first, and then we can maybe take this herb or this supplement to promote some detox process. But if we are continually being exposed by those synthetic toxic chemicals, then what's the point of doing the detox? Correct. If we're not eating properly, if we're not hydrating properly, if we're not stimulating the body's organs through health practice to do the detox, then the pills aren't going to be sufficient. Okay. So when I do a detox, I provide guidance for patients who want that, who it's appropriate for, and I do it from the foundations up. So are we first recognizing in your exposures, you're being exposed. There's mold growing in your bathroom. Or you haven't changed your air filters in your car or your house for 3 years. Or even little things, you're eating food from, most of your food is coming from cans, which has the plastic lining. Or you're drinking out of plastic water bottles all the time. That has to be looked at. Even like little things, like dryer sheets. Dryer sheets have it's all lined with chemicals, and we can use reusable, actually just plastic balls or wool balls. And that's free of synthetic chemicals. It does the same thing as a dryer sheet. Right. Another uncommon example is our shower curtain, the reusable disposable shower curtain, is like the cheapest plastic you can imagine. Yeah. And then we have these hot showers. Obviously we're fully naked in the shower, and we're being exposed to those chemicals by this cheap plastic that's mixing with the hot water and leaching, versus very inexpensive. It's probably just a little bit more expensive than the disposable is the reusable cotton shower curtain, not toxic at all. So there's these little things that accumulate, and we have to build our awareness around just to be able to limit those exposures. But if we don't do that, then we're missing something. And then yes, having the detailed review of diet. What are we putting in our body? Are we getting enough nutrients? Are we getting enough antioxidants? Are we getting enough fiber? Are we getting enough prebiotic foods? Are we getting enough probiotic foods? All of those things are important for long-term good health, but important for detox as well. And then I'll talk about hydration. I'll even talk about teas that promote the detox process. And then I will talk about the balance of rest and exercise or physical activity needed to promote detox. So I'm talking about these 4 or 5 different topics without even getting into supplements yet. And then yes, on the final stage, we'll talk about some certain supplements that will promote the process as well.
That's good. That's good to know. Thank you. Dr. Romi, would you like to share some patient story with our audiences?
I can do that. Of course, every patient interaction I have is confidential. It's protected by health privacy laws, which I, of course, adhere to. But I can speak about a patient, and I obviously won't use their identifying features. But it is a story that highlights probably one of the most the biggest changes I've seen from when I first met them to where they are today. And this is someone who came into my office who was experiencing a great deal of muscle pain and burning and very low energy. And those are subjective. So if someone says to me, I have low energy, there's no test. I can't hold a meter up to their face and say, oh yes, your energy in fact is 7 out of 10. Yeah. Subjective. So some people might say they have 1 out of 10 energy, but the energy can actually be pretty good. Some people might say I've 5 out of 10 energy, but it may not give the full picture. But this is a person you can tell from their personality was a fighter, like a trooper, didn't even like to complain. So when this type of person is complaining, you have to take it 10 times more seriously. Yeah. If they say, this type of person says, oh, I'm okay, they might not be okay. Because they're a fighter, they're a trooper, they're a warrior, they don't even want to, they have such a positive mindset that they're not acknowledging the real negative things that are going on. And this was that kind of person, and I came to understand that over time. Initially, I didn't know. But this person said that they had muscle pain and burning, which was severe, and they had low energy, and they also had some underlying health conditions. They had colitis, which is inflammation of the lower digestive tract, and they had lupus, which is an autoimmune condition that affects the connective tissues of the body and can cause inflammation a variety of places in the body. They said that those symptoms had started 2 years ago, a little step by step, worse and worse and worse. And the doctors have been trying to educate. She had a specialist. In fact, this patient was referred to me by their specialist, by the rheumatologist. And they've been changing medications and doing different things, but it was still getting worse and worse and worse. And I said, okay, probably this is due to the lupus condition. The inflammation has gotten to be too much. And let's give some standard anti-inflammatory naturopathic treatments. The 2 most standard are fish oil and curcumin, which is the extract from turmeric. And typically patients will feel at least a little bit better, if not a lot better, from these treatments. I met her 2 weeks later, and she said, I'm worse. I thought, well, I wasn't expecting that. So then I did a more detailed study. There's a questionnaire that I'll use when things are kind of hidden, let's say. When there are other things going on that we can't readily see.
Which client didn't disclose, or?
Well, partly yes, because I learned things about this client afterwards.
Okay.
That I was like, I wish I knew that before, but that's okay. But also that I didn't ask.
Got it.
Yeah. They're just more specific, very, very specific questions that maybe I didn't have time to ask earlier on. But we ran, it's a series of another 60 or so questions. It takes quite a bit of time to go through that questionnaire, but we did it. And it was showing to me that there's a high chance that this person had an imbalance of the good versus bad bacteria in the digestive tract. In our digestive tract, we have more, and in our body and in our digestive tract, we have more bacteria than we have human cells. Wow. They're small, so they can fit in there. Okay. And so it's important for us. These bacterial cells in the digestive tract, the main function that they have is to regulate the immune function and regulate inflammation. And she was showing through the questions I was asking that she had a major disruption going on that way. I'd learned about more history, more features about her history. She'd had a blood transfusion in the past. She had an infection that came from that in the past. She had taken lots of antibiotics in the past. And I thought, okay, all of these things are contributing. We did a specific test, a stool test, that showed that there were 3 different type of yeasts growing in her digestive tract. 3 different type of candida. Not all of them are candida. One was a candida, and then there was other ones, but they're all different yeasts. And then the test also showed us what good bacteria was missing, and the test also showed us that there were the treatments that would be the most effective in eradicating those yeasts. So those yeasts were specifically identified, and the actual therapeutics we knew would eradicate it. So it was a very useful data set for me and for this patient. So we based on the results, we changed the treatment plan. We did it certain antimicrobials, certain probiotics, and we made some certain dietary recommendations. And for the first time, 3-4 weeks later, she comes back and says, I feel a little bit better. First time in 2 years, she's feeling a little bit better. Okay, let's keep with the treatment plan, made some subtle adjustments. Again, we touch base now 6 weeks later, and she's like, I feel like I'm becoming my old self again. Wow. I feel energetic. The muscle pain and burning has subsided. She related, now I started to hear more of the details. So this is the true example of a warrior, is that she will only tell the problems after they're long gone. Oh my God. And she started to explain. She said, Dr. Raina, you don't understand. I thought my life was over. Wow. I thought my life was over. She said, first of all, Dr. Raina, not yesterday, but last week I went on a hike. I hadn't been able to go on a hike. I actually moved my house 6 months ago because I couldn't walk up the stairs anymore, and I moved into a bungalow just because I couldn't walk up the stairs. She said I was so tired that when I would make tea and I was waiting for the tea kettle to boil, I would lie down on my floor because there was such little energy. And I said, I was shocked. I didn't know that it was that severe. Wow. She didn't tell me. She said, I got into a major depression because I'm an active person, and I understood that. I knew that from her, that in her life prior, she was an outdoorsy person, active person, loved to have physical activity, was a strong person, physically strong. And she said, I love to be active, I love to do different things, I love to go out, but I couldn't. I didn't have the energy, and my muscles would hurt so much. But I thought, it's okay, I can just do this, I can just do that. But one day I was driving my car and my forearm muscles started burning so bad. And I fell into a depression because I thought, now what am I going to do? I can't even drive anymore. How am I going to even leave my house? And I started to get into a depression. And I thought, your severity, if 10 is the maximum, your severity was 14. And I didn't know that until after the fact. Now you're telling me that not only have those symptoms gone away and I can drive my car and I can walk around my house and I can boil my tea. No, I went on a hike last week. We went up this hill. Yes. I beat my husband up the hill. Yes. And I felt great. I didn't crash from fatigue the next day. And I felt great. To the point where the rheumatologist removed the diagnosis. Wow. She removed the treatment. There's a medication that's given for lupus. Right. She removed that medication, and yet this patient was continuing to improve. Interesting. So we saw from that patient someone who was in maximum severity, their life was closing in on them. Wow. To the point where they're saying their life is over. And their life came back, and they said, I'm going kayaking now. I'm going on hikes now. And she would, cry in the visits. Dr. Raina, I'm so thankful. And I would have to hold myself back from being emotional too, because I'm trying to be professional. But it's a case that I will never forget. And we did a little bit more work beyond that. There were a couple of other, I would say, bumps on the road, not major, but still to the point. I still have been in touch with her. That was about 7 years ago. But I have been in touch with her since, and that muscle pain and burning has not come back. Her energy is still decent. She's still able to do her physical activities and live a little bit more fruitful life. Actually, I followed up with her recently, and this is when healing happens, it happens in dimensions.
Okay.
The physical dimension, the social emotional dimension, and the spiritual dimension.
Correct.
And she surpassed the physical dimension. There were some emotional things going on in her world. She's addressing that, and so now the last time we followed up, she was talking about how more now from a emotional, social point of view. From that point of view, she's saying, I'm becoming the person I used to be. Right. And that's like one of the best things you can hear from a patient on their healing journey.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. It takes time, it takes belief, it takes courage, and it also takes discipline. I like one of your quote from social media posts that you say, if it comes from a plant, eat it. If it comes from a plant, don't.
Yeah.
It took me a while to understand. Like, what does that mean? What does that mean? I would improve the design a bit. Like, plant, I'm going to show plant as an emoji, and if plant, I'm going to show a factory, and so people can get it because so social media posts is a different feel. But that's true. That's true. And even discipline takes time. But what I also realize is pushing yourself over the edge of something that you're not can also take you to the stress which you don't want. So it's a gradual move. But again, doctor, believe is such a powerful tool that you can be able to do to put yourself in the direction of anything that you want to become, healthy, successful, and in any shape or form. So very good that you cured that patient, and with the permission of that patient, of course, we love to have a case study published on your website so the world can be able to see it, and happy patient openly say yes, do it, use the initials to do it. I think it would be good for the world to see, and that's your accomplishment. If you see similar cases in the next 20 years of your practice, you simply share the patient I cured this patient, see this patient history and the outcome.
Well, this patient is a profound example, but there are many similar examples that through this process of identifying what good versus bad bacteria or yeast or other things that are growing in the gut and triggering inflammation. And there are tests that can pinpoint those things and also pinpoint the treatments. And like I said, this is a profound case, but there have been many other cases of where we were able to address chronic inflammation. In this case, it was lupus, but there have been other situations through this type of stool testing. And I love doing that work. It's taking this health issue, another health issue, understanding it from the level of the gut and the microbiome, treating it effectively and seeing all these different things improve profoundly. And to be able to do that work has been extremely fulfilling.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good. God bless you for this.
Thank you.
And keep taking care of human beings.
I shall do my best.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My next question to you, Dr. Romi, is what are 3 core self practices you recommend or to nearly everyone?
Self-care is so important. So important. The human body, human health, makes it seem as though you don't have to care for it because it can carry on for such a long time. It can cope even under less than ideal circumstances for such a long time until it doesn't. And it's actually often because of lack of self-care, not maintaining your health, caring for your health that causes that shift. So self-care is becoming more in the consciousness, the public consciousness, and I do talk about it more, but there are 3 things that I often recommend. And the beauty of this is that when it comes to health care, self-care, versus disease care, it's such a vast difference in complexity. If it's disease care, if someone has arthritis or inflammatory bowel disease or long-standing organ condition or hormonal condition. To address those things requires quite a lot of assessment, intervention, management, and it's very, very detailed. That's disease care. But self-care and healthcare can be quite simple, actually. It's amazing, actually, how powerful it is, even though it is simple. And so 3 things. And I learned these 3 things, not just from study, because it is in the books, but I learned it from seeing it as well. Meeting patients that might be 75, 85 years old, but they're amazing.
Really?
Mentally sharp, physically still doing their thing, living a full life, have that vibrant personality, versus someone who's 54, 55, 60, 65, and they look like they're totally lacking in vitality. The energy is very low. The personality isn't really there. They are in pain. They're not sleeping well. They don't have a good quality of life. And I thought to myself, what is the difference? What are the commonalities in that healthy group, and what are we seeing? How is that being reflected in that unhealthy group? And I've confirmed it in 3 different things that are the most important. One is physical activity. It doesn't have to be robust to exercise. We don't have to run a marathon. We don't have to go to the gym for 2 hours a day and lift the heaviest weights over our head. No, I mean, if you want to do that and you like doing that and that works for you, fine. But we do need movement and we do need physical activity. Even if that's walking, even if that's the light biking, even if that's stretching, even if that's just going for a hike in the woods or something like that. Yes, we need it. Our body is designed for physical activity, and if we ignore that fact, there are health consequences, not just for the body, but for the mind as well. And what I've seen from these people who are in their 70s and 80s and plus and still healthy, all of them have regular physical activity in their life. It may not be intense, but it's there. Second is healthy eating. Now, there are some people who think is this type of diet and eliminate this food and only eat this thing and make sure you eat this 10 times a week. We don't have to be that strict, but we do have to eat well. So should we be filling our body with sugar and pop and highly ultra-processed foods? No, there's going to be definite health consequences to that. Do we have to eat in a perfect manner where we measure every last thing we put in our body? No, that creates its own obsession that's not very healthy. But we should eat in a whole foods method. When we go to the grocery store, we see the perimeter of the grocery store is the foods that have grown in and on this earth for hundreds, if not thousands of years. These are our whole foods. If we look in the aisles of the grocery store, this is where we find our packaged processed foods. Foods that have been concocted in a lab, that are produced in the factory, that drive shareholder value. This is ultra-processed food. It's there to taste great and be cheap, not for the maintenance or creation of health. So again, we can still have our treats. Like definitely if it's our birthday, we're going to have a slice of birthday cake. If we're celebrating something, we're going to have a bit more of a sweet treat, but these are the treats. The foundation is a whole foods diet. So healthy eating.
Healthy eating. Related to this, doctor, what are the mindset of those people who say take Atkins diet, non-carb diet, and gluten-free diet? And another one is very interesting, vegan. And one more thing they were saying, so what is the reality into this? And is it fit, related to this question, is it true that seasonal fruits available in the marketplace is good for your health, while we are living in a world where the fruits and vegetable comes from all over the world?
So 2 good questions there. One is about the diets and one is about the seasonality of our produce. So with regards to Atkins diet, which is basically a carb-free diet, high-protein diet, so there are diets like that. There was also in the past, they used to consider fat-free diets. So we only have 3 macronutrients in our food system: carbohydrate, fat, and protein. And if I were to sit on a stool, 3-legged stool, and I remove one leg, Would you sit on it?
No.
No, I wouldn't advise it.
Yeah.
So similarly here, where we have just 3 macronutrients, by removing one, we are creating a major gap and a major void. It will collapse. We need to have all 3 in the right proportion and in the right quality. So yeah, you can eat a fat that's very healthy. Avocado is a fat. It's very healthy for us. You can eat a fat, a Cinnabon, which is full of trans fats, which is very unhealthy. They're both fats. You can have a sugar that's healthy, like broccoli is technically it's a complex carbohydrate. It's a vegetable.
Okay.
It's composed. The backbone of it is a sugar.
Okay.
Technically speaking, it's not sweet. It's bitter, but it is a carbohydrate, and that's very healthy for us. Versus a Twix bar or Kit Kat or chocolate bar or whatever. No, this is just pure sugar. There's no nutritional value. It's going to spike your blood sugar up and not provide us any nutrition along the way. And we can get addicted to that too. So that's not good for us at all. Right? So we have to eat it in the right proportion and in the right quality for it to be healthy, and in the whole foods manner. So you've mentioned gluten-free diet. Now gluten-free, is a health condition called celiacs, that you are literally allergic to gluten. If you eat gluten, it's going to cause major symptoms. And you have to. That is the treatment. You have to avoid gluten, remove it. There's also a subset that are gluten sensitive that don't have full-blown celiacs, but they eat gluten and 3 days later, 4 days later, they get certain symptoms. And this might be related not just to gluten, but the things they spray on gluten, like glyphosates. So it's hard to know exactly where that's coming from all the time, but in fact, when they're eating gluten, it's causing problems for them. That's more difficult to detect, but it is there, and definitely that's some of the work I do in my practice. But unless there is good evidence to suggest that gluten is a problem for you, or that wheat is a problem for you, then you should continue to eat it, maybe not in a high proportion. When it comes to grain overall, I tend to limit it for my patients, so it shouldn't be the foundation for all of our food. It shouldn't be the bulk of our calories, no. But do we need to eliminate it completely? It's a whole food at the end of the day, and if you don't need to, then I won't recommend it.
Got it. Okay.
Need-based. Then you asked the question about seasonal fruits, and by having foods from all over the world, is it the right timing for us?
Sure.
And so if it's a fresh fruit that's picked off the vine, and it has to go halfway across the world to get here, I have questions about that. What did it have to be sprayed with in order to maintain the image of freshness for it to finally get into the grocery shelf? And it may not be the most fresh thing in the world. I might be more interested in something that is seasonal, that is local. I'll expect it to be more fresh. It came just off the vine maybe a couple of days ago, and here it is in the grocery store, versus something that is out of season, came from across the world, and now a month later it's in the grocery store, or several weeks later. So that will cause me to question things. Our body does tend to receive certain foods in better ways. For instance, when it's the summer, it's hot outside, we need the water-based fruits, the tropical fruits, because they give us hydration without being so high in calories, so that we can sustain our body against that weather. But is it negative to have a watermelon in the winter? No. You can have a watermelon in the winter. It's okay. It's not going to harm you. So it's a very nuanced thing. And we shouldn't undervalue the frozen food, because it gets flash frozen in the moment. And it can ship over a long period of time without losing that freshness. It's a little bit less expensive, and of course cost is a concern for everybody. And we can still have it. So I don't like to get too into the nitty-gritty details of, you ate a pomegranate, and the best month to eat the pomegranate is the month of, I don't even know, July, let's say, and now it's September and you ate it. No, so what? A pomegranate either way is a healthy thing. It's a whole food. It's full of antioxidants. We're not eating it every day, 3 times a day. No, we're just eating it once, and so the body can handle it. Rather, I'm more concerned about what is the pattern, what is the habit, is it whole food or not? And if it's whole food, and we are on the pattern of having a diverse array of whole foods in a balanced way and a high quality, then our body can handle it without getting obsessed over the details. So in this way, the core self-care practices Physical activity is 1. Whole food eating, it's simple, is 2. And 3, and again, this relates to the people that have great health in the long run, social connection. Social connection is where the happiness comes from, where the purpose of living comes from, where the joy of living comes from. And these people, they're not perfect eaters. They're not going crazy at the gym, but they are eating well and they are being physically active. And these people may not have 101 friends, but they have good, strong core relationships. In the people that are the closest to them, they are stable, joyful relationships. And so when we're thinking about our life design and how we want to be healthy and happier in the long run, think about those 3 areas and how we're doing them in a way that's balanced.
Wonderful. Nice to say. Dr. Romi, my next question to you is, how do you talk to patients about boundaries, rest, and emotional resilience?
Emotional resilience has become an especially important topic in our time. Stress is there. It's all around us. We have a lot of demands on our time. We have a lot of demands on what we're expected to know, and that's increasing. In a modern, specialized, technology-based society, the amount of growth in what we're expected to know is exponential, and that puts a burden on the individual. So we need to be able to set boundaries around that, to offset the pressure of that through rest, and to have some sort of emotional resilience against especially the stressful aspects of that. Very important, and we need to keep in mind the concept of the fact that we cannot pour from an empty cup. Yes, we want to give. We want to give our best for our individual lives. We want to give our best to our families. We want to give our best to our work, the organizations and corporations that we exist within. But if we don't have the resources within us, if we don't have that vitality within us, then what are we going to give? So we have to be able to rest sufficiently, to care for ourselves sufficiently, to have boundaries in that way in order to rejuvenate ourselves so that we're able to give. So even when we're doing nothing, we're not doing nothing. We're recharging that battery. And this speaks to not everybody, because everybody's different. This speaks to the person that is eager and motivated to act and to do things, to solve the problems of the world, to grow their footprint in the world, to have an impact. Now, there are some people who have other issues, have other emotional, mental issues, and they are imbalanced in a different way. But for the person that's go, that wants to do more, we have to have the counterbalance to that. And it's to that person that I say, even when you're doing nothing, you're not doing nothing, you're getting yourself prepared for the next step through that rest. And I also reflect on this is that we live in a very serious and stressful world. Turn on any screen and you'll be reminded of it instantaneously. It's almost impossible to escape it, but we need to. We need a timeout on that. So one, are we detoxing from screens? Every screen that we see, whether we're scrolling, whether, even when I'm at the gym, I have a new practice at the gym because all the screens are there. And the news is always 1 or 2 of those screens. And the news is a steady stream of all the worst things that are happening in our world. And that's it. It's not a full reaction or reflection of reality, because reality is good, bad, and beautiful. It's just only the bad that we see there. So that, in a certain sense, has to be limited. So I don't even like looking at those screens. So when you practice in the gym, it's I go right to the end of the gym where I'm in front of the mirror. and I can't, the TV is above me now. So I can't even see the screens anymore. But I try to avoid that because it's influencing the mindset in a way that I don't want to see. So I encourage everyone to have some buffer around the screens, around the scrolling, around the social media, because even that can be quite emotionally activating for people in a way that we don't want. And a lot of what the screens are sending us, the messages we're seeing, is bad and it's serious. And we should not take life that seriously. We need to laugh. We need to lighten up. We need to be able to get into and maintain our sense of humor, because when things are going bad, if we have the capability, the flexibility within us to laugh about it, now we're free.
Laughter is the best medicine.
Best medicine. We can unchain our heart and liberate our soul through laughter.
Right.
But if we think, oh, woe is me, I'm a victim, everything is bad, I am suffering, well, that can be very heavy and very dark very fast. When we're not alone.
You're right.
Through the march of time and all the years and all the manifestations that we've seen in this world, it's all happened before. And we can survive it and we can be okay. And if we can see that bigger picture, that lighter picture, and we can even laugh about it, well, now we're free. Even if something negative happens, it's happening out there, sure. But what's happening in here is more up to you.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay, very interesting. Very good to know. So, Dr. Romi, how can people be able to find you and connect with you?
Yeah, the best way is through my website, aspirenaturalhealth.ca. And from there, I have the contact page where they can reach out to me by phone or email. And even my social media handles can be discovered through the website. I do see patients. I actually am currently accepting new patients. And I do see patients virtually. And so regardless of where you are in this great province of ours, you can be seen, and I have a fairly flexible schedule as far as timings during the week and during the day, as far as when I see patients as well. But through my website, aspirenaturalhealth.ca is the way.
Very good, very good. Is there a phone number that you would like to share too for bookings too, for those clients who doesn't want to go on the website?
Absolutely. I can be reached at 647-291-8976. And that's my practice line. Yeah.
Very good. And on the website, you have a booking page or booking button that people can be able to book it?
That's correct. Yes, I do. So there is, as easy as clicking, you'll be able to see my schedule and set up an appointment for yourself through the website.
That's great. That's great. I also find a good source of knowledge that people can be able to gain by reading your blogs. And you keep publishing them, 1 or 2 blogs starting from May. So it's a good source of getting the information. And another one is subscription of your email newsletter. So I encourage people to fill out that box of subscribe the email newsletter, and it can be able to benefit for them to get the future marketing coming right in their inboxes.
Yeah, I'm always putting stuff out there. So yeah, I've been doing a blog a week. It'll go up to 2 blogs a week pretty soon. And then I give more curated, specific content to those who subscribe to my newsletter, and I do a monthly newsletter as well. And I'm always putting some useful, valuable information, which people tend to like, into that one as well.
Very good, very good. We like to see the open houses or the workshops you can be able to bring in the venue, the work hub and all that. And with that, any final closing words you want to say to the audiences?
Well, I want to say that good health, long-term health and happiness is within your grasp. We can all achieve it and experience it. It might take some guidance. We might need some help along the way. But in fact, naturopathic doctors are the most well-trained healthcare professionals to help individuals, families, and organizations achieve long-term health and happiness. Nicely said, Doctor. I should quote that line. And wonderfully said, and well done. You have delivered such a fabulous podcast, and it's one of our longest podcasts so far. And I learned a lot from you. It's still a lot more questions to go, but I promise we're going to do, not next podcast style, we're going to do a healthcare style. We're going to do nature style. We're going to go on the Paradise Avenue. Love to see that. Love to walk Ajax by the lake, explore the lakefront, and discuss things in details. Well, that sounds perfect to me. I welcome it. And I thank you as well, Khurram, not just for this podcast, which has been excellent today, but also for all your support and service in getting my brand and the website off the ground and launching that. Thank you very much, sir. You're very welcome. God bless you. Thank you. So audiences, hope you liked our podcast. If you like to join our podcast and have your story to share with the world, please contact us at 289-275-2147 or the email contact@digipixinc.com. I also like to say thank you to the sponsor of this venue, the Work Hub, to provide us this podcast room.
you should check out their website, theworkhub.ca, and staff is very friendly and helpful, and they have lots of room, conference space, meeting space that you can be able to book, hourly rate, half day, or the full day. So thank you very much again, and look forward to see you in the next podcast.